Elden Ring replayability is something that many people have been discussing. There's a really good article that talks about how they think that the Elden Ring gameplay replayability is severely lacking. And after my own experience with the game, I beat it all the way through. I tried New Game Plus. I tried to play through the entire game doing a no summons run. I wanted to weigh in on this subject, react to the article, get your thoughts. If you weren't here for the live stream, be sure to hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss out on my daily live streams. And check the link below. We got a brand new site for the coffee, rebranded and everything, so be sure to check it out. Now, I do try to give you everything right here at the beginning, so you don't have to go searching for my concise thoughts about the topic. This is a Reforge update. Elden Ring reviews have poured in all throughout the year. Obviously, it is hailed as one of the greatest games of 2022 and is well on its way to likely earning a Game of the Year award. However, replayability and endgame have been hotly debated, and a recent article that I'm going to react to on my Reforge Gaming channel made me want to give my own thoughts on replayability. If you like these quick updates, hit subscribe and the bell button. That way you don't miss my upload. So my experience with the game prior to really focusing on replayability was mostly positive until the end game. The end game itself was sort of this mismatch. It felt of a lot of spam, a lot of AoE, felt like a lot of chasing and running after bosses. There are certain people that agree with me, disagree with me, a lot of different perspectives on the end game of Elden Ring, but it is one of the more debated end games of all the FromSoftware games that I've covered and played. It seems to be one that sort of falls into a rut in many people's minds. Now, this made me obviously want to get through it quickly, so I relied far too much on summoning. I do feel that really short-circuited a lot of my experience because summoning is so strong in Elden Ring, especially if you get a very strong summon like Teach. I still don't think Teach has been nerfed. One of the strongest, if not, I would say arguably maybe the strongest summon in the game at the time that I beat the game. Then I rolled over the game in the New Game Plus, and that's where I was starting to grow concerned about the longevity of the game for me as a YouTuber, but also as just a fan. I thought, well, I'm incredibly strong, nothing's really that difficult, so let's try a completely different build. Now, I, at the time, had to make sure I had plenty of smithing stones to bring over with me when I rolled over in the New Game Plus. That's no longer a requirement. They actually let you carry over your bell bearings. What that means is when you roll over in the New Game Plus, you can go to the NPC and buy any smithing stones you need. You're just going to have to grind for the runes to buy them, so that's not something they're pushing against. So I got a twin blade build. It was bleed, it was crazy, it was awesome, and then I killed Radahn in like 7 hits and decided that this really wasn't a fun playthrough. That was around the time that I decided to do a no summons run, and I still stand by this. I still really want to recommend that to people. If you've played through Elden Ring and you've successfully beat it, if you did do a lot of summoning, I would really encourage you to try a no summons run. At the very least, the front half of the game is a completely new experience when you're no longer summoning, but I still started to run into the same problems in the end game. I think it improves the game significantly, and I do highly recommend it. This is one of the most, I think, one of the best open world experiences in a game that I have had, and the only reason it really felt different was because I diverged so significantly from my original path. It will feel pretty samey because the dungeons don't change, the bosses don't change. That's to be expected. You're just sort of replaying the game. So I think the replayability is severely lacking and lopsided in New Game Plus, especially because you are so incredibly strong. I think the victory lap sort of loses its luster very quickly. I've heard that once you get it, second, third, and fourth replay, it starts to be more enjoyable, but that doesn't really sound like something that I or many other people want to do. There seems to be a consensus that this game does lack replayability when compared to other FromSoft games. Different builds can only carry you so far, as you're essentially having a lot of the same experiences. Now, DLC could help. I'm kind of doubtful about that. It will likely be a new region with some new bosses. I'm sure it'll be great. I'm ready to enjoy that with either of my playthroughs because the New Game Plus would probably be a little too easy. But my no summon run, I would go to that region and probably be pretty well equipped to handle whatever's there. I was really enjoying my time with it. So let me know what you think in the comments below about replayability. Always be sure to head over to Reforge Gaming where I stream live. And as always, hit subscribe and the bell button, and I'll see you in the next video. And I'll see all of you right now. That's the wrong button. There we go. Melania No Summon was a whole beast. Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody that's here. Thank you guys for being here on a Monday morning. This is a little bit of a different thing that we're trying. I'm going to start maybe when the news is dry, finding an opinion piece and reacting to it. So there is an article that we're going to be sort of combing through and just me giving my thoughts on it. We've enjoyed reaction content, and when there's nothing major to cover, I thought this article was actually pretty good and wanted to give you guys my thoughts on it. So make sure you're smashing the like button. Go through the daily ritual. There's not a lot going on right now in gaming news, so we're having to kind of make up our own shows and segments to give you a show, and we have to kind of sometimes carry the show on our back. So make sure you're giving us those first 100 likes. Make sure you're on live chat so you can see what everybody's saying. Striker1 coming in with 8 months of a membership, and that is a tier 2. Friday was fun. Thank you. We had a really, really fun time on Friday night. If you're a member and you missed out on Friday night, go back and watch the VOD. It was hilarious. My wife and I played a wrestling game, and it was absolutely hysterical. Bro Sexy coming in and renewing the membership for a second month. Weedman hitting 3 months. Let's go, big guy. Keep up the great work and perseverance. Thank you so much, Weedman. If you guys are not actually a member at the moment, membership is understandably dipping. We jumped up to like 1,700 members last month. This month we're now down. We're at about 1,030. So if someone was kind enough to gift you a membership last month, consider jumping back in on your own for the $5. We're doing members content basically every day. New segments all throughout the week, as well as those Friday night streams with my wife. And there may be opportunities to play games with me or suggest games, etc. when you are a member. Jimmy Page coming in with an 8-month milestone. Welcome back. You rock, Lono. Keep it up. Thank you so much. Morning. Yo, what's good, feed? Good to see you in the chat as always. And guys, don't forget we did launch the new web presence for the coffee, reforgeroast.com, or you can use the coffee command in chat. We appreciate everybody who has been ordering the coffee. We got a bunch of orders that'll be going out today from over the weekend. You got my $5. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Gail. A lot of people decided to jump back in on their own for that second month, and we greatly appreciate that. We cover all kinds of gaming news here, and when the gaming news gets dry, we kind of have to make up our own stuff to talk about, which can be really enjoyable, but then you really got to lean on the core audience, because, you know, nobody's coming to YouTube right now and probably searching for Elden Ring replayability, but I thought it would be a good subject to cover. Ashen says, I think an issue with Elden Ring replayability as well is that its heart, it's still a Souls games. After that first playthrough, there isn't much reason to redo caves and dungeons. I would have loved to have seen them do something about that, Ashen. Like, even if just the dungeons, and I know this is a lot, so I'm not describing this as something that would be easy to do, but, like, what about a randomizer? Do you know what I mean? Like, I get you've got mainstay story bosses. You can't mess with, like, Melania and Margit and all these people. That's fine. I'm not expecting that. I would think that that would be a bit of a pretty big ask to ask for those to be changed or lead-ups or whatever. So, but a randomizer in the dungeons would go a super long way. Different enemies, different bosses. Even if the bosses just rotated, you'd get kind of surprised. You're like, oh my gosh, this guy's here instead of the usual. PC has a great randomizer mod already. Yeah, but I don't want to have that. You shouldn't have to go rely on mods. I don't think so. I understand that the modding community is amazing, but I don't like getting into mods. I don't want to play a game where I got to do all that. I've just never enjoyed that. You're recommending the no summons run? I thought there were two main reasons you quit that. Did I misunderstand something? I still think that the front half of the game, if you play it no summons, is the best Elden Ring experience you can have. I stand by that. I think the front half of the game, the exploring, the caves, the open world, the first half of the game is wonderful, no summons. I didn't really fall off the rails until I got to the fire giant. I don't know if that would be considered half of the game or 60%. But once I got to the fire giant, I was like, I don't know if this is going to work, guys. Now, it was a two-pronged thing, okay? A lot of people misinterpreted my commentary on this, but like there was a clear lack of interest from the FromSoftware community. Like, we beat the game, had great viewership. Our coverage had massive support all the way to the lead up. We had crazy channel growth. So many FromSoftware fans were enjoying the content. And then I did New Game Plus, and people were enjoying that, even though I wasn't really enjoying that. But I think people just like that version of the game where you're just like crazy OP and fiddling around with builds. I think the FromSoftware community can kind of vibe with that. Once I got into the No Summons run, I think a lot of the FromSoftware community just sort of abandoned the run on I think it was like our 6th or 7th episode. We noticed a slight downturn, and then episodes 8, 9, and 10, I was having a blast. I thought the mood was light. I thought the boss victories were great. But, like, the numbers were just absolutely lower than we had ever seen them. And the conclusion that we came to is the FromSoftware community really abandoned the run. I think that they thought this is too pedestrian, this is too basic, so they just stopped supporting it. And I was like, well, man, this is really hard, this is really challenging, and if the audience isn't vibing with it, I'm not going to force something that doesn't work. There's lots of other things we can cover. A great example is this last Friday, we covered Starfield and what was the two things we covered? We covered Starfield and something else. And the streams did amazing. And it's like, I'm not going to miss out on covering. We covered Starfield and Skull and Bones. And both streams did great. It was like, hey, these things are hot right now. We've talked about Starfield and Skull and Bones before. Let's circle back and talk about these games. And it's like, I would rather put on a show that people want to see than force something that just isn't working. And so I didn't want to make it sound like, well, if I don't get viewership, I'm not going to do something. It's like, no, this is incredibly hard and challenging. And when it was Sekiro and when it was Dark Souls 3, I just think there was more of an allure. There was more of an appeal. It was like, this guy's never played this game before. Now, the reason we bailed on Demon Souls is I just didn't like the controls. I think Elden Ring and Sekiro and Dark Souls 3 really spoiled me. Demon Souls felt super clunky. I felt the datedness of the game. I know the FromSoftware community hated me talking about that game in that way, but it was like, I can just feel it. I can tell it's an old game. It does. It just had that lack of fluidity, and I was like, oh, a fresh playthrough of that would be really enjoyable. Once again, the support was just it wasn't really there, and I was like not. I felt like the controls were going to be a massive barrier for me to enjoy Demon Souls. Do you know what I mean? Side note, I still want to see you do the boss rush for Sekiro. I really like Sekiro. I don't know if I could handle that, though. That might have to be a members only something or other. When did the game originally come out? End of February, Zubair. So we made it pretty far in the year getting support and viewership for Elden Ring. I just think the wheels came off the wagon. You can only ride something for so long sometimes. They pushed multiple endings at one point, but I haven't heard many folks talking about them or replaying to get them. There's probably people that do replay to get them, Suede, but not me. Oh, sorry, Bloodborne? Oh, I actually don't know when Bloodborne originally came out. I'm halfway through from a platinum, and I can't bother to go back and finish. Yeah, Eugene said a little bit ago, he thinks the size of the game is one of the reasons that Elden Ring's replayability suffers. It's just so big. And you have to do so many things if you really want to have an adequate playthrough. The open world just kills replay. I hope it's their last. 7 months from Lido. Orange looks really nice on you. Have a nice week. P.S. I really dislike the Thor movie. Yeah, I'm hearing mixed reviews. I've not seen it yet. Thank you for the comment on the shirt. We saw the new Minions movie yesterday with the kiddos to celebrate my wife's birthday. We were doing some stuff over the weekend for her and got her some gifts and stuff and some cards and hanging out with friends. And so she wanted to, she thought that would be fun to do with the kids. So that's what we did yesterday. So, problem with multiple endings is they are all color filters except the Lord of Frenzied Flame and Ronnie's. Yeah, I heard that. It was like the endings are so varied they're so minimally varied that like a lot of people just don't, want it. You abandoned the run first, to be fair. Did not watch those Fridays when I saw that you were covering other stuff. I still watched when you played again, though, 2 weeks later. Well, I didn't abandon the run, Diaz. I mean, people have to be understanding of the fact that, like, whenever, like, Summer Game Fest happens or big events happen, I have to cover that. I can't be like, hey, guys, it's Summer Game Fest, and there's news, and there's reveals, and there's all this stuff going on, and I'm going to play a 5-month-old game. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. Like, if the FromSoft fans are like, oh man, he took 2 weeks off, I'm done with this guy, I'll be honest, I don't want to stream to people like that. That's not support. That's like super, super tenuous and fair weather. Like, I think Creature called it. He's like, listen, they'll like watching you play through the game for the first time or the DLC or whatever. He's like, but they're not going to like you when you play the game and you really just start being honest about it. He's like, because that's just not what they look for. They look for FromSoftware streamers. At that stage, when people are playing through a FromSoft game, they are literally putting themselves through hell. They're doing a no-hit run, they're doing a no-death run, or, you know, whatever. Unsurprisingly, I'm loath to defend Elden Ring, but I do think it's important to note that replayability is highly subjective. Some will love a game so much that they play it 5 times, some won't. Yeah, and some people would think that what Eugene is saying is just out of left field. They'd be like, dude, the open world is one of the most replayable aspects of the game. There's so much you can do. There's so much you can discover and experience afresh. But I don't know. I'm kind of more in agreement with those people. My issue was not the open world. That was one of the reasons I was able to jump back in and really enjoy myself. I was like, oh, let's hit every dungeon. Let's hit every cave. Let's actually go south first this time so we don't come back and we're like super overly leveled or whatever. You know what I mean? Hair looking good today. Keep up the good work. Oh, thank you. Also, Elden Ring has great replay value in my opinion. Great build diversity and a lot of unique weapon stats. Well, here, let's just ask people what they think. Let's get a poll going. We're going to have to carry this stream on our back. There's not a lot of news going on right now. Elden Ring replayability. How would you rate it? I'm going to go with the tried and true ABCD. All right. Now, obviously, if you've not played the game, I understand you wouldn't be able to submit an answer. But ABCD, where do you land? Most of my favorite games I've only played once through, says Rob. Completely honest, I only played through multiple times because I wanted to platinum it. Otherwise, I would have only been one. It would have only been 1.5 playthroughs. One for main and a second one for PvP. I gave up an Elden Ring pretty fast, says Pugs. I'm replaying Max Payne 3 right now for like the 20th time. FromSoft fans like Souls newbies getting smoked on their first run or super challenge runs. Anything else is kind of yawn. Right, and I'm critical. Like, I'm pretty critical. And it's like, I just think, I actually wasn't being very critical in parts like, we did, 11 parts? I think parts 8 through all the way up to like 8 or 9, I wasn't being critical. I was having a really, really fun time. And then part 10, it was like, well, no, part 9, it was like, okay, the interest is dropping. And then part 10, I was just like, I don't know. I'm not enjoying this. Like, that last half of the game just gets crazy. I think after Fire Giant, I was burnt out on the game and just boss rushed to the end. Using the co-op mod is the only way I'm going to play it at all. Yeah, I've heard the co-op mod is really fun. All that coffee. It's right on point today. For me, by the time I got the New Game Plus 3, says Barrier, I had consumed so much content over the months after the release, I just got burned out. I'm still feeling that too. I need another 6 months to care about the game. I just wonder, a Star Fox-like 3D arcade shooter is coming out, release date July 21st. Oh, they're offering me a key. Ooh, okay. Well, we'll take a look at that. We'll see if there's an embargo or not. We could put that on Reforge First Look. As a player who doesn't go into PvP, you have to admit you're closed off to a huge part of the replay value. I will readily admit that, but I'll also say an open world RPG game with New Game Plus, I shouldn't need to touch PvP. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, that's a ridiculous amount of content. I should never have to touch PvP if I don't want to. I will readily admit, sure, I don't touch a pretty big portion of what many feel is the replay value, but holy moly, this game is enormous, you know? I feel like it's going to be a game where people sink a ton of hours into it, then need a break, but a year from now, you'll be craving that type of game again. I wonder what's good, Khalid. I wonder if the gaming drought is related to some of this. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the gaming drought is people are like, man, I don't know, dude. I played too much. There was nothing else to play. It's like you finish your first playthrough, and instead of being like, okay, now I can go play something else for a little while, or, oh, now I can take a break, and goes, no, like, you're like, I guess I got to dive back in, dude. There's nothing else to play right now. From Weeping Peninsula to the capital, Elden Ring is amazing with lots of options. At the mountaintop and beyond, it's like Shadow of the Colossus, barren, and just giant enemies, which aren't fun to fight. Yeah, the bigger the enemy, the more irritated I get, because I feel like I'm breaking my character's neck, you know? What's good, Duncan? I disagree. I'm 300 hours in, says Tommy, on my third run and build. Still looking forward to different builds in the future runs. New Game Plus build diversity is amazing. You, Ash, an Elden Ring PvP is stale as blank, and I'm not interested in invading 2 or 3 players at a time, says Eugene. Ashton says, I'm not interested in Elden Ring PvP because it seems like nothing but ROB spam with Stars of Ruin. Yeah, it did start to seem like every time PvP came up, people were pretty displeased with it. They were like, I don't know, man, they messed this up, or they messed that up, or this is all people, this is all people that are abusing this tactic or that tactic. It doesn't surprise me that happens, but at the same time, it's like every time they did a patch, I felt like I had to hear from guys about it. Let's see here. Somebody's saying Doc. I'm not seeing Doc ripping anything. Did he rip it in his replies? We forgot to run our plans by the game dev folks. Hope they say it's okay. Uh-oh. Who cares? I mean, 1v1s were incredibly easy to set up, says Barrier. I invade at RL65 and I have fun every time, says Diaz. Yo, what's good, Mr. Glum? How are you? I still think Dark Souls 2 has the best PvP, says Jastification. I got burned out after 2 runs waiting for DLC PvP turning into a 3v1. It sounds like to me, it sounds like you had to be pretty intentional, either setting up 1v1s or approaching it in a pretty specific way. Elden Ring on a Monday, it's my birthday. What's good, bowl of ketchup? I definitely consumed too much, says Barrier, but I would do it again. A, B, when it comes to replayability, that's normal, I would say. The odds they get stacked against you pretty easily. I watched Prod, and he has the same issues, and he's a great PvPer, says Ashen. As an outsider, I just don't see players having enough fun to want to go through multiple times. From games don't strike me as having mass appeal to replay. People don't seem to have enough fun with the combat. Well, if you're watching me, I'm a pretty gripey player. Like, that's just kind of in my nature, is to be pretty critical. And that's why I thought the No Summons run was such a massive uptick in fun for me, because I had to learn the fights. Like, when I actually beat Margit Godric, when I beat Margot, when I beat these enemies and genuinely learned the fight and outmaneuvered them, it felt amazing. It felt like I actually beat the bosses. My experience with Elden Ring gameplay in my first playthrough was just so slanted toward, oh, I lost once or twice, it's time to summon, right? And I'll give an example. Those crystal, remember when we were watching the latest Elden Ring update or patch or whatever, and people were claiming that the teamed bosses, some of the teamed bosses, had been nerfed or whatever. So we went and watched me fight that crystal twin pair or whatever, and we watched me fight them to compare. Funny enough, I did okay on my first try, but I just got annoyed because I got stun locked, and because it's a spammy fight from the range guy if he catches you, and I got annoyed, and I was like, I'm summoning. Now, sadly, being able to pull that ripcord so easily, I think is a huge detriment to your playthrough if you do it. I had a massive lean toward that. It was like, well, frick this fight. I got stun locked, I got spammed, disagree, or whatever. Like, all it takes is for you to feel like you kind of got ripped. Like some of the bosses, you might get stuck. Like the one guy got like stuck inside of him, or, you know, you just get stuck in a stun lock cycle where you're like, I'm dead. And you're like, forget this fight. So instead of trying to learn the fight, I just go in and ding, 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 you know, and summon. And I think that really tainted my experience. So I think that's why I ended up really enjoying the no summon run, because I was making myself learn the fight. And seeing the patterns and overcoming them felt really good, because it felt like, okay, I actually beat that fight. I didn't have to like pull out some stupid summoning thing to split the aggro. I'm not dissing summoning, by the way. I'm saying that the way that I use summoning was a detriment to my experience. I don't think summoning is bad, just the Mimic. TJ, I feel, is fine. Since she is late game, but Mimic is just an insane summon. Never gonna overcome Melania, Sag. Yeah, I know. People want me to keep going. I 100% agree. There should have been some kind of consequence for using Spirit Ashes. Are summons just way too strong, or are the boss fights designed around summons? I don't think that summons are too strong, Abe. I think aggro splitting by its nature is ridiculously strong. As soon as you aggro split, the everything changes, and this is where they get it right in Returnal. Okay, I would really like to play through Returnal for some members-only content, by the way. If there's anybody who's really good at Returnal and wants to co-op it up, let me know. Obviously, you would need to be a member. If you're not a member, consider becoming one. Our gifted members are slowly dropping. We'd love to see that go back up. We'd love to hover between 1,500 and 2,000 members every month to keep some of those perks unlocked and to keep some of those fun things happening. How long can roly-poly against huge bosses stay fun? Very different, but oddly similar to why I don't understand the draw of playing that game D or D2 over and over and over again. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. When a content loop satisfies you, sometimes you can't really explain why, but I'm going to attempt to. So, in the Dark Souls world, so Dark Souls 3, you know, that was something Eugene always criticized. You're just rolling around on the ground. Why is that fun? Okay? You're looking at it as an observer, and when you play it and you start to feel the rhythm and you start to overcome bosses, you don't really care what your character looks like anymore. You're finessing a fight, and that feels pretty satisfying. Getting out of the way of damage and doling out your own damage is just satisfying. Now, Elden Ring, I think, upticked the feel of finesse, or whatever you want to call it, because they had things like guard counter that I think significantly added to what you could do, as well as jump attacks and heavy attacks, breaking that invisible posture bar. My favorite thing to do, right? My favorite thing to do was figure out how quickly I could break that posture bar. People did not like watching me play. My cousin's like, you are bad at From Games. I was like, I'm not bad. I'm just stubborn, right? I'm not technically bad at these games. If you look at the speed with which I beat Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, and Elden Ring, I would say I'm a fairly proficient player, but I'm also very stubborn. And the minute I got a taste for breaking posture, that's all I wanted to do. I would do that. What was my weapon art, Eugene, that I loved using? It wasn't stand guard, but it's a phrase like that, for frick's sake. So I would use jump attack, heavy attacks, I would use guard counter, and then I would use my weapon art, where like I would hold for a second and then like run forward and slam the sword up in the air, right? And I absolutely standoff, thank you. Oh, square off, thank you. It's okay, Barrier, you were close enough. Square off. So my favorite thing to do was I would go into a fight and I would use jump, heavy, square off, and guard counter. I almost wasn't rolling anymore. You know what I'm saying? So that felt amazing because, oh my goodness, when I learned how quickly I could break the posture of those frickin' cat bosses in the dungeons, that was my favorite thing to do against them. Frick you, I'm breaking your posture. I don't care if there's 2 of you, I'm breaking your posture. Yo, my man, Weed Man, kicking off the day with 5 gifted memberships. Sinnit, Alex, Parkour, Googly Moogly, and Jeremy all claim them. Guys, be sure to thank Weed Man. That's so generous, guys. Keep the gifteds going. Let's get the membership back on that rise. Paul Gaming coming in, renewing his membership. Welcome back in. Don't forget, we are doing members content basically every day now. That's how we end our day. We do our same amount of shows, you get your same amount of content, and then we end the day with members. And I've got some fun things planned. It's more gameplay, it's more potential to maybe play with me, so consider becoming a member or gifting today. I still remember the comment someone gave you that, like, if you could have summoned TJ for Ishin, you would have. I would have. I think Diaz said that. I think. It might have been Diaz. I still remember the comment. Yeah, okay, I'm rereading. I'm going up, back up. And now I'm complaining that replayability sucks, says Eugene. That's right. I love the combat system in Elden Ring, but like Eugene said, the open world hurts Elden Ring in the Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, or Grinders. You beat them up and just go, I want to do it again. Right. Elden Ring takes too long to get back into the grinder. That's right. I hope you and your family had a nice weekend. Thank you, Noble Beast. I hope all of you had a great weekend. Hey, do me a favor, smash the like and take my poll. If you do those 2 things, it helps the video, and it's free to do that. You don't have to spend any money to be subscribed to my channel. You don't have to spend any money to hit like or subscribe. What's good? Hilly, I put the perfect meme in Discord for your play style. Walking back to the boss for the 100th time, knowing straight I will not be adapting or changing my strategy in any way. That's exactly right. The problem's not with my strategy. The problem is that the boss won't submit to my strategy. It really is the game's fault, right? The game is being rebellious. I'm not being rebellious. Submit to me. I am God, so submit to me, and everything will be in a much better situation, video game. Like, that's definitely the arrogance. I do the same thing. I walk back in there and I'm like, you know what? Frick you. You're gonna let me get 3 heavies. You're just going to. I'm gonna figure out how to do it. People would get so mad. They'd be like, you can't do that. It's not working. I'm like, no. I'm going to figure it out. Now, give me some. I deserve a little bit of credit. Because there were a couple of times people told me to stop doing something, and I figured out how to make it work, and I got to break their posture. There was at least 2 boss fights where I was like, look, man, you just got to let me figure this out. I think I can get this to work. And I got it to work. Now, there are other times where I have to just swallow my pride and be like, this isn't working. I'm being an idiot. These last 6 deaths have been my fault, you know? If the meme said 3 to 7 attempts, it would have been better, but I didn't make it. Lono gets stun locked next attempt. Lono walks into the same stun lock. That's right. It's the game's fault for stun locking me. Elden Ring being criticized. Careful, Lono, they might ostracize you. I know why it's a subject is on a Monday. Oh, this is not, we're not trying to dodge the FromSoftware fans. We pretty much decided that we weren't doing From Friday anymore because it wasn't really working. It also was hindering our ability. It was hindering our ability to cover when something broke. Like, if anything broke on a Thursday, it was like, well, we can't cover it Friday, which meant we couldn't cover it because what am I going to cover it Monday? So we found this article on replayability. I want to go through with it with you guys here in a moment. I was going to do like the first hour of the show, kind of my thoughts, and then the second hour of the show would be me reacting to the article. We also have a second show planned today, reacting to the New World update, we're actually going to be watching Asmongold watching it, because I wanted to get his thoughts on it. He's the MMO guy. We've been using his content pretty frequently here on the channel because I think it's good. I don't like how much he swears. That's the biggest disappointment with this video today. He swears a lot. So I'm going to try to hold off as long as I can before we go to that segment, because I know a lot of you like to treat the show like radio. I am safe for work. I'm not swearing, so you can throw me on in the background like a podcast. And I'm going to try and kick that as far down the road as I can today with you Elden Ring FromSoft fans. Elden Ring gameplay review. That's what I'm doing today. What's the replayability? We're discussing it right now. I've got a poll at the top of the chat. And it's trending down to the C. It is. It's trending down to the C rating. A at a 23, then B, then C. Nobody's really giving it a D. So it's not doing great, but it's not doing bad either. It sounds like a lot of people are landing on like the C. You gonna touch the Ubisoft drama? I was having a hard time figuring out what was going on. Were they like shutting down old games or whatever? Are you covering RoboCop at some point, or no traffic for it too late? I was curious why you liked it so much, Hilly. I thought it looked really bad. It looked like Cyberpunk on a mobile device. I wasn't sure why you... Was it all nostalgia for you? I thought the shooting mechanics looked just absolutely terrible. I prefer his swearing as far as having the choice of him not doing it. I'm not sure what you mean. Why don't you try mod, says Robert. Robert, I can't tell you... I can't give you a good reason. I can only give you this reason. I just don't like it. I don't like the idea of playing a version of the game that isn't pure. And I can't give you a good reason for that. I've never, ever done mods. I didn't do it in Skyrim. I've never done it in any of the games I've ever played, except for there were modded servers for Call of Duty 2 for CTF that I liked to play on. I can't give you a good answer. I will readily admit to you it's just a preference thing. It's like trying to explain to you why I don't like the way something tastes. It's just like, it just doesn't taste good. You know, you're a purist. But it's not ideological. There's no ideology at play here. I'm not like, you shouldn't be doing that. That's not the pure game. There's no ideology at play. It's purely... my palate, I don't like the way that it tastes. I'm like, meh, no thanks. What about cosmetic mods? I mean, those are funny, but I've never done that either. Like, I'm never going to play through God of War and be like, boy, and be looking like Homer Simpson. I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? You're missing out on so much good content. I can't even imagine Skyrim with no mods. Sounds disgusting. Listen. I'm not telling you it's a good reason. I'm not. I am 100% owning that it's just a weird bias. Yeah, it's too chickeny. That's right. That's what my wife says about chicken. She's like, it's too chickeny. And then she won't eat it. So it's tough. It's tough to, for her to eat meat. You know? They could literally add pay to win and I might play a RoboCop game. Yeah, that's nostalgia at play, Hilly. They're removing all access for a single-player game because they don't want to host the DRM servers anymore, and they don't want to push a patch removing the DRM. Oh. Save for work does not include rage. That's right. I beat Elden Ring 3 times for getting all achievements, says Sam. Great replayability for new endings and playstyles, but now I'm just waiting for DLC. The Homer Simpson mod was funny for 10 minutes. Yeah, well, you play through the whole game. Like, it's funny, but I'm never going to do it. Assassin's Creed Liberation uses online DRM systems. It's being switched off, and UB won't remove the DRM on the game. Oh, okay. Now, why would I report on that? Red Dead Redemption 2 PS5 port has been dropped. That's a rumor. Oh, golly. That's a disappointing thing. I was going to like playing that for 10 minutes and looking at all the pretty trees and then never playing it again. I'm just kidding. Red Dead Redemption 2 was an absolute dadgum triumph, and I'm sad that I didn't get to play it to completion because it was at a time where I had to, kowtow to a community that watches and plays one game. I beat Elden Ring 2 days ago after 150-ish hours. I'm going back to find all the stuff I missed now after my blind playthrough. Hey, be careful with that ableist language. I'm just kidding. Blind playthrough is completely acceptable. Plan on going into Remnant from the Ashes for a bit. now and then go in the New Game Plus. I just started playing KOTOR 2 again in mods for the first time since Vengeance. I've beaten it dozens of times, and now I'm having legitimate fun. I'll give you a game that I would play with mods. You guys want to know a game that I would actually play with mods? Are you ready for this? If somebody created a mod for Outriders that made the sound design not sound like somebody put a wind-up toy inside of a metal trash can and then close the lid with a microphone inside for every single gun, I would play that mod. I don't know what you would call it. You'd say, this doesn't sound like a trash can or something. I would play that mod. I would do that, because then I could play Outriders with the sound on. I completely get your stance on mods, says Suede. I feel the same with when they added the annoyance of not just wanting to jump through the hoops. Right. It's not even the annoyance so much. It is that a little bit, but mostly it's just me being like, no, thank you. Moody renewing that membership. Thank you, Moody, for renewing the membership. Guys, if you had a gifted membership last month and you no longer have it, your name's back to being gray and boring, you can fix that for $5. And we do members content virtually every day of the week. So we really are trying to give you plenty of reasons to jump back in the member pool. I thought for sure you were going to say Fall Guys. Yeah, there's a mod for Fall Guys. Yeah. That helps. Fall Guys needs a mod where they just turn off the skill-based matchmaking so I can play with my children, and that'd be a great mod as well. I need tips for folks, excuse me. I need tips for folks who love replayability. New Game Plus is boring since we're gods, and finishing the entire game with a fresh character is overwhelming, says MickDO9. Gray names aren't boring. I'm kidding a little bit. For me personally, Elden Ring replay value is much better than some of the open world RPG like Dragon Dogma, and Amateur, The Reckoning. Besides, so many varieties to build and you can do in the game and other games. I'm not saying that it's bad. I just think it's lacking. Fall Guys is not a game for children. Fall Guys is very tough. I was raging out on that candy stealing game at the end of the night on Friday. I was getting freaking grumpy. I was so annoyed. Turn off the skill-based matchmaking for the kiddos because they wreck me on it. No, skill-based matchmaking has two sides to the coin because my kids play and have a blast by themselves, and then the minute I join, it's a freaking tragedy. It's like we can't even qualify. It's like all the teams are so sweaty the minute I'm playing. It's ridiculous. Ashen says, my advice for New Game Plus, rush it. Get through it. New Game Plus 2 gives you back the challenge. They need a mod for Mario Striker so Pikachu can actually score a goal. My nephew ticked me off. He played it for like 5 minutes. He's like, I won. It's not that hard. I'm like, well, it probably actually is easier solo to maintain possession because I'm trying to pass it to a 6-year-old, instead of myself. So, I was like, yeah, it might actually be easier by yourself. But it's supposed to be a fun game you can play with other people. You never played Red Dead Redemption 2? I never played Red Dead Redemption 2 to completion. I did play it for a while, and then I played it quite a bit Hillbilly Jack played it quite a bit. If Outriders allows mods, I would learn to mod just so I could make the sound mod of literal trash cans for every sound in the game and call it Outriders Reforge. That's right. You're like, I'm like, that actually sounds better. I have 600 hours so far, and I'm still replaying Elden Ring, says Sam. Man, we got some hardcore Elden Ring fans in the chat today. I appreciate you tuning in if you've never been here before, or if you've not been frequenting my content as much, because we're not covering FromSoftware games as much as we used to. Just keep in mind, we're here all throughout the week covering game news, and it's like a podcast you can throw me on in the background. Would love to see some of you guys here more often. I know when I'm not covering or playing a FromSoftware game, some of you are sort of shrugging at the content, and I get that, but we do cover quite a bit of gaming news here. Nah, I just think that you're just stubborn. Wait, what am I stubborn about? I mean, I know I'm stubborn, but what specifically am I being stubborn about? That makes me remember the days I let my little brother play on my skill-based matchmaking in Call of Duty. I actually made him cry. We played it for a members-only stream, and I had to literally go into other games and lose just to matchmake. Do you know what I mean? Are you serious? Fall Guys get sweaty? Yes, it does. I'm not kidding around. Mods are great for people who like to immerse themselves for games like Skyrim, Fallout 4. You can totally replay with a new storyline in mind for your character if that appeals to you. Instead of just starting New Game Plus, I've been enjoying some PvP, says Dalton. I can't wait for DLC. I'm anxious for Elden Ring DLC. I am. I'm also anxious for... Can we get 200 likes on this video? I need 40 of you to press it if you haven't pressed it. We got a good amount of people here for a completely made-up topic. There's nothing happening in gaming news right now, so you're going to be getting a lot of opinion from me, and I hope you enjoy that content. I hope you enjoy the vibe of these streams that are a little more reliant on you showing up and taking part in the conversation. Not been around because I've had some stuff going on in life recently. It's not because you haven't been covering FromSoft. Not you, Googly, not you. We just noticed a pretty sharp downward trend, and I think it was two things, Googly. We had a lot of distance from Elden Ring. It had been months. The game had been out for a long time. I'll be honest with you. We were able to cover Elden Ring and play it for a really long time before the wheels came off. It was like 4 months. That's actually pretty good. I'm not a FromSoftware guy. So the fact that we were able to do that for 4 months, I think is a pretty big testimony to the fact that, like, people were just kind of digging it. I just think the wheels start to fall off when you get that much distance from a game. I don't think it was anybody's fault in particular. But I also know a lot of people that's their thing. Like, they come to YouTube and that's all they want to do is consume FromSoftware stuff, you know? It only lets me hit the button once. That's okay. I'm 500 hours in, says Ganks. I'm only on New Game Plus 1. I haven't done a boss rush yet because I'm working to get all the ball bearings and doing build testing to find a good PvE build before moving on to a PvP character. Gee, many Christmas. Some of you guys are committed. You are committed. You are in there, dude. I've been through the game 4 times now. 800 hours played with no New Game Plus playthroughs. Still finding things I missed and still having fun. Yo, thank you. I just want to consume some coffee. Thank you, Ronald Mayday. Did you order any? Guys, don't forget, we've completely updated the web space for the coffee. The web presence is now all under reforgeroast.com. I appreciate getting orders over the weekend from people. I assume that's people watching the VODs. It's great when we get coffee orders and I'm not even streaming, so I greatly appreciate that. So thank you, everybody who's been doing that. Hope Elden Ring DLC will flesh things out again. We need Chalice dungeons. I'm a broken record, but we need that grinder. Listen, I'm telling you what, if they did that, Ashen, I would be so excited because we have a great character for me to play with in DLC. We're 3/4 of the way through or so. I think that's what you said, right? Like Fire Giant is maybe 3/4 of the way through. So we're more than halfway through the game. So we're strong. You know, and we could enjoy ourselves, I think. I don't know if I'd want to make a brand new character for DLC. Do you believe Elden Ring DLC will take long to make because of FromSoftware's other projects? I honestly don't know. We know that they are working on Armored Core. That's all but been confirmed by them. It's very likely that the next FromSoft game is Armored Core. It's also incredibly likely that it's going to be live service. Miyazaki, confirmed in some interviews that they would like to do some live service games. Many people think that Armored Core is probably the best game for that, and they're probably correct. I watched one particular streamer play Elden Ring with 9 different characters, beat the game 2 times, watch hundreds of hours of lore build, speedrun vids. I'm just burnt out on Elden Ring, period. My fault. I'm telling you, Weed Man, I think the gaming drought did that to us. It made people overplay, potentially. It made people overconsume the content. You know what I mean? Does Madam have the itch to get back into Elden Ring? No, but do you guys want to see her play it? That would be a great member incentive. Why don't we make that the 1,500 member incentive this month? If you guys get us back up to 1,500 members at least once this month, because it's going to be hard. We won't stay there. We'll hit it and then we'll drop every day. But if you can get us back up to 1,500 members at least once this month, we'll have her play that again on a Friday night. We'll pick back up where we left off in that dungeon, and we'll see if she can't beat that boss. I think that's a great incentive. We've been trying to think of a 1,500 member incentive because 2,000 is still on the table, a watch party where we would watch through Star Wars Episode 1 and you could listen to our commentary. You would need a Disney Plus subscription. That would be the only stipulation, and be a member here. The only issue with Chalice Dungeons will be giving rewards. You don't really need to farm much in Elden Ring. No, you get a really good build and then you just need stones to make your gear stronger. Nice job, Lock. Returnal, 2 X's. I'm not going to hold Returnal behind a member wall, but if you guys want to play with me, we got to pick a day to do it so that we know people can be here. Mondays is supposed to be a Madam segment where she just sits down here and talks with you guys and me, and we just kind of hang out with you. Madam Mondays is supposed to be a thing. You know, Returnal Tuesdays sounds pretty good to me. 165 hours, can't wait for DLC, jeepers. I gotta say, for me, a DLC experience draw is inherently tied to continuing the story of my main character's story. That's not going to be a thing in Elden Ring because there's not... I'll be honest, the lore guys will be, ready to take my head off for this, but it's not a story-driven game, I'll be honest with you. It just doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like a story-driven game. The story's there. The story is there, but it's not. I don't think that's going to be the focus. There will be story elements to the DLC. We already are pretty sure where it's going to lead. It's going to be stuff with the one chick and the final thing. Like, I really know my Elden Ring lore. There was stuff that got cut, and it's likely going to be with her and another rune or shard or whatever the frick. I'm foreseeing time travel, maybe going back to the Shattering. I would love if they did that, like go back and the whole world changes. Like all the ruins are no longer toppled and bosses and stuff are different. That'd be so freaking awesome, but that's a huge... That'd be like a second dadgum game. One chick with the hair and stuff? I don't know, Abe. I forget. I think what's happening to Elden Ring is similar to what happened with Animal Crossing. Nothing wrong with either, just... the timing of release, the drought, it was a perfect storm. Yeah, people go crazy, man. Not a story-driven game. Let me get my Twitlonger ready. Do it, man. Frenzied Flame is probably going to be expanded on, I think, in DLC. Maybe the missing rune on the moon. My first run was 170 hours. I did absolutely nothing everything possible in the run and provided to no summon strength build. Oh, you pivoted to a no summon strength build after Margot. Yeah. I 100% agree. I was just in there to get stronger and beat the bosses. The story was there, and I was mildly interested. Yeah, again, I'm not knocking the story. I think the story elements of Elden Ring are actually pretty good. I thought they were pretty good. But it's just not it's not the super strong focus. How's the new coffee page going? Thanks to the new info. Apparently my browser doesn't redirect properly. No problem, JW. Yeah, Rageless Roast, the old name, that should 100% be redirecting. Yeah, it's redirecting here, so you might have had a browser caching issue or something. So if you guys are interested, our coffee has the roasting profile. It's Arabica. It's 100% Arabica and not Robusta, which we've been learning all sorts of new things about coffee. So coffee snobs, we have very, very good roasting profiles and flavors for both of our coffees. Low acidity, balanced acidity, sorry, super, super smooth. Exploration kept me going, Noble Beast. If you're just tuning in, I'm sort of giving my Elden Ring gameplay review, okay? And we're talking about Elden Ring replayability, right? The old network site will not redirect. It was a different path. The .com should be taking there. Oh, you're talking about the store link creature. Yeah, the .com will 100% take you to reforgeroast.com. The old store link, maybe not. Wait, did you change the coffee? Leave my dark roast alone? No, we didn't change it, Abe, but if you're interested in the flavor profile, roasting profile, and all of that, we have all that on the website now. So, would you give Saints Row Reboot a go? When it comes out, I'll play it for an afternoon, maybe. Yeah. Still feels like Game of the Year material? Oh, there is no doubt in my mind that Elden Ring Game of the Year is still on the horizon. Ragnarok is going to be tough to beat. I think Elden Ring can beat Ragnarok. I think it can. But Ragnarok's going to have some advantages. It'll be recent, more story-driven. It'll be beat by way more people. It's going to have some advantages. Completely off topic. Any interest in the captaincy update coming to Sea of Thieves? Homie, if they don't give me PvE, I can't touch that game. I'll end up punching something. I just can't do it. How long till Frickmas comes back? You're starting to run low. Frickmas should be available once we get into November. It wouldn't make much sense to sell it earlier than that. I wanted to do Frickmas in July. Creature said no. We actually came to the same decision. It was the right call at the time to not do it. But we are hoping that the Frickmas roast will be the first debut of brand new branding and bags that will then obviously carry over into the light and the dark when we re-up them as well. I'm guessing Lono will not like Skull and Bones. You've been soft on this game? What do you mean I've been soft on this game? Lewis, are you serious? You think I've been soft on Elden Ring? I almost undoubtedly drove some of the FromSoftware fans away by how critical I was of the game. Come on. Gotta use my dad voice sometimes. My kids are immune to it now. Yeah, it's not bad, but you also have girls. They're just I'm sure they flick their hair and say whatever or something. Guys, if you haven't smashed the like button yet, please do that. Let's get that first 200 likes before the first hour of the stream is up. We're continuing to talk about Elden Ring gameplay review. The replayability is on the docket. How do you grade it? There's a poll at the top of the chat. Make sure and cast your vote. Saints Row reboot looks like it's butchering the Saints Row series. The OG Saints 1 through 4 would have bullied the Saints from the new game. Should have just done a new IP instead. You know what's funny, KJC? I'm starting to feel that. I'm starting to feel that vibe of if you're going to make that big of a departure, just make a new IP, dadgummit. What, you know what I mean? I understand. Because it's going to be Saints Row in name only. And I'm not even a Saints Row guy, but I resonate with what you're saying. Go back to his live stream number 3 of Elden Ring. He raged so hard and was so critical. I was super critical of the game from the very beginning. My criticism rose the longer I got. Lono talks crap about Elden Ring every time he plays it. What do you mean? Yeah, if anybody's saying I was too soft on Elden Ring, holy frick. Now, I came around episodes 2 through 9 of my No Summon run. I was really coming around. I was like, oh, this is such a better playthrough. I'm seeing it. And then I played the Fire Giant, and I was like, man, frick this game, bro. I made it that far, and I was like, man, frick this game, bro. And so, I still think it wins Game of the Year. That's not me being soft on it. I think it achieved so many great things. So many great things. I think it achieved greatness. As an open world game, as an evolution of a series and a genre type, I think it deserves the Game of the Year. I do. I think it achieved what few games do, And if Ragnarok wants to win as a sequel, it's going to have to bring its absolute S game, not A game, but S game. It's going to need to be S tier. It's going to need to say we're more than just a sequel. And I hope Ragnarok does that. All the DLC naysayers. I need to rewatch him fighting Ishin again. It was beautiful. 5 hours banging heads against the wall. Ashen, I showed my nephews when I finally beat him. I went to the final fight. Holy moly. I was really impressed with myself, which sounds weird to say. I was like, wow. I was in the pocket, dude. I pull some crazy well-timed big parries in that fight, to the point that I'm watching my own gameplay and I'm like, go! It was, when I finally beat that son of a gun, it was good. It was very, very good. There's buzz around there that there's buzz out there with Ragnarok that hasn't hit mainstream. It's looking very promising. Yeah, the buzz I'm hearing about Ragnarok is that it's big. Yeah. You can't criticize FromSoft games or else the fanboys will come after you for anything. Somehow Dark Souls 2 has its defenders, and that game is just the worst in every way. Yeah. I actually have FromSoft fans here that are honest. You know, they've said that. They're like, Dark Souls 2 is, they love it, but it's cheap and they hate it. See my comment above? Elden Ring likely deserves it, but history has shown recency bias is an unfair advantage. Not when Sekiro won. Not when Sekiro won, Suede. So it has, you know, I think the biggest hurdle for Elden Ring to win Game of the Year is going to be recency bias. God of War is going to dominate the news cycle. Oh, for sure. For sure. I'm impressed you didn't use the Umbrella Shield. That thing was pivotal to me. If there is one thing I think I showed, who did I beat, Ashen? And people were like, you just beat that on hard mode almost. Was it Owl? And I didn't, I just 100% used my sword. It like was like, no, I'm not, I didn't use any shinobi arts. I didn't use anything. I was out of everything. It was just me, my blade, and grit. And I freaking whooped him. And people were like, you made that so much harder on yourself, bro. You could have used a couple of items and it would have made it significantly easier. You know? And I feel like, didn't I do that? I did the same thing with Ishin. I think it was just me and my blade and nothing else. And now would be a good time to insert ads, says YouTube. Now would be a good time to gift members, chat. Come on. Let's show them how it's done. All right? Every time that pops up, I want some gifted members. And YouTube's going to be like, huh, maybe we're thinking about live streaming all wrong. Come on. Let's teach this platform how it's done. Dark Souls 2 is awesome. I love the world and the characters. Multiplayer was way more active for me than Dark Souls 3, and I played Dark Souls 2 after 3's DLC was out. That made it look more alive. That said, some of the bosses suck. I'd be surprised if Skull and Bones is anything but a flop. I'll give it a try. You know what's gonna? I'm telling you right now, it's gonna happen. Skull and Bones. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna happen. That full price point, man. That's a freaking tombstone if I've ever seen one, bro. That's a dadgum tombstone. Fully priced. Who do you think you are? Battlefield 2042? And how'd that go for them? Dr. Disrespect's AAA Game Studio is making an extraction shooter. That's not surprising. That's a hot thing right now. Hang on, I got to get this article. I want to read through this article with you guys and see what you think. All right, we're gonna see what you think about this article about Elden Ring gameplay replayability. Right? It was okay, definitely the least best from FromSoftware. Skull and Bones, the UI turns me off almost immediately. I mean, everything about the game turns me off, bro. It just, what the frick are y'all making over there? You know? Just a pirate game, but kind of not a pirate game. It's like a pirate game without all of the pirate game. You come play our pirate game and be a pirate. You're a pirate ship. You're not a pirate. Does that make sense? Like if you play Skull and Bones any length of time, I think the primary thing you're gonna say is, I don't really feel like a pirate. I feel like I'm a pirate ship. I'm a boat, right? What's wrong with saying boat? Like, that's it. For those of you that don't know, I grew up and I went to like this super crazy private, it wasn't, I don't think it was crazy. I don't want to disparage them. I went to a really, really conservative Christian private school, so swearing was obviously off the table, and this kid would yell ship. You know, he'd be like, oh, ship. Do you remember as a kid doing fake swears, how funny you thought you were being? This was actually funny. And then the teacher scolded the guy, and he was like, what's wrong with saying boat? FromSoft players, bruh, you could have done that so much easier with XYZ. Also FromSoft players, bruh, you made that fight too easy, so you really didn't beat it. Yeah. But I don't want to be a pirate. That's right. Here's the thing. Fake swears, what the frick? Frick's not really a fake swear. Frick's more of a replacer. It's more of it supplants the real thing, right? I had guys that would say F-U-P. They'd say fup with a P at the end. I really wanted to pop that P so people knew I wasn't swearing. I haven't seen enough of a content loop from Skull and Bones to justify a full price. Just doesn't seem like a full game. It kind of doesn't. All right, let's take a look at this article. Let's get some reaction going here. Why Elden Ring's replay value suffers unlike other FromSoft games. Despite its big play space giving players a multitude of things to experience, Elden Ring's fixed content doesn't do much to incentivize another go. So this is Game Rant, and this is Carlos Sotomayor. All right, Carlos Sotomayor. I believe I'm saying that about as closely as I can to correct. I remember actually getting in trouble for saying weenus in middle school. We had guys that said weenus. They didn't care. We're actually talking about elbows. Yeah. I don't see the mass appeal to pirate games. People like to be pirates, man. You know? People like to be pirates. All right, let's see what Carlos has to say here. Unlike the other FromSoftware games and the games before it, Elden Ring adopts an open-world approach to how it presents its story and gameplay. The Lands Between is full of locations to explore, enemies to fight, and mysteries to unravel. Players looking to experience anything Elden Ring has to offer would be hard-pressed to do so within a reasonable amount of time and can lose themselves in the process. But as with all games, Elden Ring has a finite amount of content for players to experience. Once the main story is completed, the major boss is felled, and most of the locales are explored and picked clean of their loot. Players will be looking for something else to do. This is where New Game Plus kicks in. By resetting everyone's world progress, Elden Ring allows players to experience the same thing all over again. Only this time with most of their weapons and gear from the previous playthrough. But while experiencing everything from the beginning may be appealing to some, others may find that Elden Ring's design doesn't offer much in terms of replayability, right? All right, let's see. Elden Ring's spectacle is almost a one and done. The Lands Between offers some of the best video game locales in recent memory. I agree with this. I think this is where the game crushes. Its open world and its area design is just it's so good. It's almost I want to say it's almost unparalleled. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, you know when you're in an area and you kind of don't want to be there. You know when you're in an area that's kind of spooky, scary, or it's got this foreboding, just terribleness. I think they did an excellent job with the locales and the world design. That's an amazing point. They're about to list some of the locales. Do you remember getting in trouble for saying cuss hole? Yes. I specifically remember shouting cuss hole and being made to turn off my Game Boy. That's a good one. That was a good one. Anyway, the vast battlefield below Redmane Castle, the Academy of Raya Lucaria, the royal capital of Leyndell, all the places in Elden Ring are unique and offer some sort of gameplay or storytelling element. Not only that, but these locations are filled with characters and items that help flesh out the world and those in it. Jar Barn in Jarbug is just as important as the Halig Tree medallion pieces found in the village of Albinarix and Castle Sol. Both provide exposition to the world, and both are integral to completing some of the game's quests. This is well written. I like that they're taking the time to really talk about how amazing the game looks. Unfortunately, here it comes. Here comes the hit. Unfortunately, all of these elements can be freshly experienced for the first time. Can only be freshly experienced for the first time. Anyone that calls Elden Ring a PS3 game is automatically discredited as an angry mental little person. Starting New Game Plus in Elden Ring doesn't change the locations of items or enemies, meaning that everything will be in the exact same place players found them the first time around. Certain elements are tied to specific branching quest lines, such as acquiring the Finger Slayer blade for Princess Rani, or choosing to add Fia, the deathbed companion. To aid Fia, but these aren't as numerous as players might hope. Elden Ring's open world versus FromSoft's classic tighter design. So this is what Eugene was talking about. This is where Elden Ring's open world design falls short. I don't think that's the right phrasing, okay? It doesn't fall short in any way. It magnifies a problem, but it doesn't fall short. I don't like that phrasing. Other critically praised open-world games such as Red Dead Redemption 2, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and Grand Theft Auto 5 have activities scattered throughout their maps to surprise players. These random encounters add something new to the player experience, but be they minute or otherwise. Having a cougar suddenly jump at a Red Dead Redemption 2 player in the middle of nowhere may not be pleasant, but it creates an element unique to that one person. Yeah, but you could argue the value of that, right? The randomness in and of itself becomes a predictable... Does that make sense? It becomes a predictable thing. The randomness of Red Dead Redemption 2 becomes rhythmic and predictable. You know there's periodically going to be a guy on a wagon that you could potentially kill and steal his stuff and take it to the fence. You know that in games like Witcher and Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, you might suddenly get attacked by somebody. Even the randomness becomes formulaic to a certain extent, right? So I think people I don't think this is a strong enough point in his case. I think Carlos is making a fine case, but I don't think arguing that the open world should be like occasionally random. I don't know if in these other games the presence of that randomness is as valuable as one might think. I think it quickly becomes background, predictable, rhythmic, just like everything else. I don't think that this is necessarily the strongest point in the article. Yo, it's good, Sven. I've not read the article, so I don't have commentary planned. I didn't get a bunch of canned responses. I'm replying to this sort of on the fly here, right? Elden Ring doesn't have any of these random moments. Every enemy, item, and scenario has its predetermined place in the game, which players will experience no matter what. The aforementioned Haligtree medallion pieces will always be found in the same place, just as passing by a Geel Lake will always spawn Flying Dragon Agil. What few random moments there are in Elden Ring are usually relegated to weak enemies like wolves that attack players on their journey, to fight something more intimidating. While they do break up the monotony somewhat, these encounters are hardly as memorable as the rest of the game's content. And I would argue that those moments are not integral and important to the game's content. I don't think every game needs random moments out in the open world. I don't think so. Now, if you want to put a randomizer on the game so those sorts of things start to happen, like the medallion pieces aren't where they were the first time, enemies aren't in the same locations, bosses and trash ads and world bosses aren't in those same places, then I would say that would be something that the player's initiating. But I don't know, without any randomness, the game is solved quickly. I think you're using the word quickly a little bit liberally there. I don't think anything in this game was solved quickly. It's a massive world. If you don't go to Reddit or the forums or ask your friend, you aren't solving anything in this game quickly. To quite the contrary. It would take you a lifetime to truly discover this game, comb over it, and play it, and find everything. You're not doing anything in this game quickly. I hated fighting Skyrim dragons unless I had Dragon Rend. Then they became damage sponges. Thanks to whoever gifted. Thanks, P. Dudley. Listen, when YouTube's starting to ask me to run ads every hour, and I'm like, hey, let's have some gifted members, I'm going to start hitting that ad button, all right? I'm going to start doing it. Because I'm going to give YouTube what they want. Furthermore, it's hard to ignore how FromSoftware encourages replay in other Souls games by offering tight, inviting, and dangerous level design. Demon Souls, Bloodborne, and other titles are so unique and feel tightly handcrafted, forcing players down terrifying alleys. With New Game Plus and Elden Ring, some of that general design influence is lost, making the above issues even worse. So, they've not really substantiated this, they're simply stating it, right? They're saying FromSoftware encourages in other games by offering tight, inviting, and dangerous level design. Bloodborne, Demon Souls, and other titles are unique, and they feel tightly handcrafted, forcing players down terrifying alleys. With New Game Plus and Elden Ring, some of that general design influence is lost, making the above issues even worse. He's not really established that. He's just simply stating it that it's made worse. Well, how? Right? The dungeons can be extremely frustrating. Is it because you're so strong in New Game Plus? Right? I actually think that would probably be a pretty good point to be like, you're so strong in New Game Plus that even the dungeons where it can get a little tight and cramped, you don't necessarily feel like you're under any threat. Elden Ring is by no means a bad game, but its New Game Plus mode is a bit lacking. It seems that taking a break from the game to forget it and allow FromSoftware to add more content is the best way for players to get the most out of the mode. Without the incentive of new items and experiences aside from the alternate paths of their previous choices, players will have little motivation to explore the vast open world they've already experienced before. That's it. That's the article. Man, I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed. I thought he was gonna make a much better case. I honestly think that's a pretty weak article, Carlos. I think I could make a better case in about 5 minutes off cuff. Like, he took the time to write that, and it's just not very substantive. It's well written on the front side. I like how he praised the game. I like how he praised the open world feel of the game and the locales and everything else. But I feel like he simply stated opinion that, like, well, the open world really detracts from this and it should be random. And it's like, well, that would certainly help in some respects, but it goes deeper than that. The problems of the game's replayability goes far deeper. He didn't talk about the fact that when you roll the game over to New Game Plus, you're unbelievably strong, and the victory lap loses its luster very quickly. Why does it lose its luster very quickly? Because the game is so dadgum huge, right? If you could do a boss rush victory lap, maybe it might be fun. Like, all right, I'm going to go back and whoop that dragon. I'm going to go back and whoop so-and-so. But the game is so big that the victory lap becomes almost monotonous. You're like, I don't want to go and do all that. It's going to take too long. Like I said, I got to Radon, and I was like, I can't see myself going through the rest of the game like this. If it was just boss after boss after boss, I think so. And that would maybe lead and add some credence to his claim that, like, the open world compared to, like, the more tight, more linear design would have made the game potentially better. Maybe it's a victory lap, it's 50 miles long, right? Without the incentive of new items. Some items can only be found in New Game Plus because the quest paths lock you out at certain times. Clearly he didn't play more than once. Yeah, or check Reddit. That's what I miss the most. I want to replay Bloodborne just for the bosses, but the campaign to get there is tiring. Yep, the combat in Elden Ring's content loop, it's in all Souls games. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the combat in Elden Ring. The combat in Elden Ring is it puts it up there right behind Sekiro. Sekiro I think is the king. I've not played Bloodborne, so all the Bloodborne guys are like, you can't say that. But, like, I think Sekiro's combat is king. I have a love-hate relationship with that game, but I have a massive amount of respect for its combat system because I believe that its combat system is pure. I think it's pure, and I think Elden Ring is, like, right behind it with respect to having a great combat system. All the layers of things you could do. As I was describing the way that I would try to posture break. I had so many different ways to try to do it. I had guard counter. I didn't do parrying because I don't like it. The timing on parrying is super weird. But I had guard counter. I had a heavy attack. I had a jump attack. And then I had square off. Right? And I think that created, just within my build alone, it created a billion permutations of how I could approach a fight that is purely driven by player volition and reflex, which I think is wonderful. Okay? However, the reason I would take its combat system down a peg from Sekiro is you can overlevel. Like, when I killed Radon, I was really strong. So on my no summons playthrough, I was actually really strong when I fought Radon. I just stayed on my mount and just went, like, kind of rode the back left side of him and just hacked away at him. I got him to half health so dadgum fast. It was like, huh? I literally beat Radon my first try on my no summons run. I beat him my first try. Now, some people would say, well, they over-nerfed him, they over-tuned him. That might actually be true. Waiting for Sekiro to go on sale again so I can finally try that game. I think Sekiro's combat is pure. I think it's the god in the room. I think it's the archetype. 100% after the patch for ultra weapons, using them against Melania felt amazing. Between staggering her and then getting a posture break for big damage, I felt like a god. Yeah, I think Elden Ring's combat is up there. It is. I think it's right up there. They evolved the combat in the FromSoftware, environment incredibly well. Sekiro has great combat and playability. You can play Sekiro several times and the bosses can still mess you up if you're just playing around. Right. I miss old Radon. I know his health was lowered, which I don't think it needed to be. Yeah, I kind of want to fight him I wanted to fight him pre-nerf. Because when I beat him, I didn't summon any of the people. I didn't summon my summonable. And I was like, yeah, no, that wasn't very fun, It wasn't very fun. Sekiro is much more refined, but Bloodborne is special for me. It introduced me to the series randomly. I was able to get my hands on Sekiro for $22 last year. Bloodborne needs a 60 FPS version. It's the only FromSoft game that doesn't have a 60 FPS version. It needs a 60 FPS release, remaster, remake, release, whatever. You know what the problem is? It would have to be a remake, homie, because they'd have to, I'm not kidding you, they'd have to remake the entire dadgum game from ground up. All the animations, all the rule sets, all the boss fights, everything is linked to that. Every single square inch of that game would need to be rebuilt because other than maybe the environments, fine, okay, fine, you could probably leave them alone, right? You could probably leave the environments alone, but there ain't no way they're just being like, hey, the game's 60 FPS now. No, ain't no way. It would not flow very well. They'd have to rebuild significant portions, if not all the portions of the game pertaining to combat. Give me a boss with tons of health and let me stay near them. Let me dance, let me trade. Just don't give me Elden Beast. Yeah, and that's the thing. I went back and watched one of my videos, Ashen. It got okay support on TikTok. It got almost 10,000 views, which, is okay for a small TikToker, right? And one of the things I talked about in my little rant was I feel like I'm watching the boss instead of fighting the boss, right? It just feels like so much of the late game in Elden Ring, the boss is really far away, and you're just running and watching them, and then you're like, hey, it's my turn to do something, and then you get it 1 or 2 hits, and then you got to get out of there and go back to watching them. Do you know what I mean? Oh, you would like the Bloodborne release on Xbox? Yeah, no. From could do what they did with Dark Souls 1 remaster to Bloodborne? Maybe, but was there an inherent 30 frames per second cap in Dark Souls 1? I wonder. I'm telling you, it's that 30 frames per second cap that they did. I'm telling you, that makes Bloodborne's in its own category because of that. All the animations, every swing, every dodge, every iframe, every time an enemy tries to hit you. They lost me when I couldn't summon Torrent during the Elden Beast fight. I think some of the fights that are really big, you should just be able to summon Torrent. Who's the big guy with the beaded tail that tries to whip you on the way over? He's got the big skull and he makes you float. That guy, I think you should be able to have Torrent out in that fight. Because he just goes underground and then goes a mile away. And you're like, here we go again. And you're like, time to run 2 football field lengths. I don't know. Give me Torrent with Elden Beast and he'd be fine. Malekith's a fun boss, but he does the whole jump around over the arena and he has such little health. Yeah. Astel? Yeah, that's properly named. He's an Astel. Elden Ring's bosses are its weak point. I absolutely love Dark Souls 3 bosses. They were strong. I don't remember them being as frustrating as Elden Beast or Melania. Midir is still my favorite boss of all time. Yeah, I think the Dark Souls 3 bosses are phenomenal. I wish that Yorn, or whatever his name is, I wish there could be a traditional fight against him. I think his animation set's dope. I think his size is... I think he's the best big boss you can fight. but he's a gimmick, which is disappointing. But if you could fight him in a traditional way, I think it'd be super satisfying. Because I think his moveset, like his telegraphs and, you know, the ability to kind of like iframe through it. I know it's a pretty pedestrian fight if you're just trying to dodge him and hit him. It's super easy to get your iframes against him because he only has a handful of things that he does. But I think he's awesome. He was my favorite looking boss in the game. I think Pontiff Sullivan and the Twin Princes were my two favorite fights. I thought the Dancer and Cinder left a lot to be desired for. Once the shine of discovery and exploration wears off, it hurts replaying, says Suede. That said, I don't see anything wrong with a massive single playthrough. I doubt From does either. I think a lot of people have approached Elden Ring gameplay that way. They're like, I'm not gonna roll over to a new game. You know what I mean? Sad thing with Yorm is his gimmick is so baked into it. I love his theme. Yeah, he was my favorite boss. He was awesome. The music was legendary. I kind of wish I would have just beat him the brain dead way, just slowly chiseling him down. It would be like a 45-minute fight, but I think it would be worth it. It would give you, I think it would give you a really, really great sense of achievement, you know, to slowly do it. I'm sure plenty of people have. There's no way I'm the first person that thought to do that. Is that the one with the sword? Yeah, the lightning, the storm sword or whatever the frick. You summon a storm, basically. Spent like 20 hours trying to beat Yorm the Giant, not knowing about the sword until a friend told me about it. So I loved his fight, but had I known about his weakness, it would have been boring. Melania, Fire Giant, Malekith, Godskin Duo, and Renala are just not good fights to me anyway. Yeah, I don't like the Fire Giant because he's so big I can't tell what the frick's going on. And then he just puts a bunch of crap on the ground. So he does the tried and true, you're not allowed to be near me, and you're also not allowed to be far away from me. So have fun with that. Like, I don't like a fight like that. I don't like fights where they punish you for being far away and they punish you for getting close. It's like, what the frick do you want me to do? I've successfully dodged through your attacks and got behind you. I'm going to go to wail on your feet. That's just so exciting, right? Swinging at a giant foot. Just invigorating. Oh, and then there's fire everywhere. So now I have to run away again. So I don't know. It feels like this dumb, exhaustive zero. It doesn't feel like skill is required to beat the Fire Giant. It feels like acceptance of stupidity is how you win. You just accept how stupid it is. Like, well, this is dumb. Okay, I'm far away. Okay, he's coming over. He's chucking something. He's rolling. Okay, I rolled through his attack. Hit. I gotta run away now. Here comes the fire. I don't know, man. It's like that's the fights where they clearly don't want you to. And listen, I understand what they're doing. They want to guard against this idea that you can just like roll behind them and hit them. They didn't want bosses to be reduced to that. And I get that. I just think some of the bosses are overtuned. They're so overtuned. It's like I'm apparently not ever supposed to be close to you. I was running into that with the dragon the last time we played. This is before I even fought the Fire Giant. I was like, I don't understand. I'm not allowed to get close to the boss. He would do a blast of ice, and then he would put ice all over the ground, and then he would go up in the air and fly away. I'm like, okay, so he goes up in the air, flies away. I ride over to him, hit him once or twice, and then he does all this AoE, so I can't be close to him. Like, that's a dumb rhythm. It's dumb. You'll never convince me that kind of a fight rhythm is good. It doesn't feel like a fight. Fire Giant's probably the easiest boss. You can literally make him fall off the cliff. I cheesed him the first time I played him. I got like glitched inside his foot, and the fire couldn't get me, so I just swang to my heart's content. Or maybe I think I got stuck in his butt. I'm not being silly. I think I got stuck in his butt. I saw Zuli the Witch's video with 5% faster and 5% smaller mod with Yorm before I played Dark Souls 3, and thought that's how the fight really went. I was surprised when he didn't change. Godskin Apostle in Divine Tower of Kylid is my best Elden Ring fight. Balanced and fair in every way without being easy. Player only one attack bosses has about 1,000. I don't know what you mean. You use the Ant-Man versus Thanos method. I totally did! Using Radahn's great bow was so satisfying on the Fire Giant. That Ash of War with gravity arrows does so much damage. Fire Giant's probably the easiest boss. Oh, I already read that, sorry. Rykard's the perfect next step from Yorm. He's Yorm's gimmick done right. It's the best gimmick boss I've ever fought. Yeah, I don't know. I just think on principle I don't like gimmick fights. And here's why. Let me explain why. Everything you've been investing in and working on up to that point goes out the window. And it's like, nah, use this thing. And you're like, but I don't really want to. It's like, nah, you have to. I agree with the bosses thing, though it does feel like you're not supposed to get close. Magic playthrough was so easy, but you don't have to be close. Fire Giant's just awful. I absolutely hate it. Why not do a Yorm type gimmick for it? You did it for Rykard, and Rykard's boss fight was great. Yeah, Rykard's okay. You just have to. You can't. I was stubborn and I got annoyed with that fight pretty significantly. It was just one of those things where I don't know. It feels like I've got to get in the lane, and if I don't get in the lane, it's over. And then so I don't feel like I'm actually beating the boss. Does that make sense? I think the Rykard fight is dope, but I also feel like I'm not really doing anything. I'm just sort of doing what you're demanding that I do. I don't know. That's my criticism of that fight, is that it ends up feeling like apply the formula and win, and then when you do that, it feels as though you are almost in a quick time event, kind of. It feels like a quick time event. It's like, do this, get out of the way, do this, get out of the way, do this, get out of the way. Oh, you're halfway through the fight now. You do this, get out of the way, do this, get out of the way. Like, I don't know. It turns into a pretty unidimensional fight, and there's some cheesiness too, because he'll move. He makes it really, really hard to get away from him in the lava sometimes, and so like, there are times where I'm just like, what am I even doing right now? Like, I can't get away. You know, the dragon with the 3 heads was dope. The atmosphere was so spooky with all the lightning everywhere. I think that was one of my favorite fights. Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't like that fight, but that big dragon and the lightning and the arena, I think that's probably the most epic fight in the dadgum game. It's certainly more epic than the ending. That should have been the final fight, in my opinion. I think the final fight is a mismatch of nonsense, and that fight was amazing. FromSoftware games have pretty much had the same repeatability, says Bello. Those who love their games replay them. People still replay Bloodborne, but there's no endgame content. Are you not underestimating the difficulty of applying the formula? It's a symptom. Is it a symptom of you getting better at this type of game? Well, it's all, like I said, it's more about stubbornness, Valiant. It's like everything I've worked on, everything I've tried to get better at, I had to put that down. Right? And in this moment, I've got to grab this new thing and gimmick him. Every time I fight Rykard, I just stand in the fire where he can't hit me and hack away. Worst boss in the game, in my opinion. That's what I mean. You just apply the formula. You just find out the sweet spot to stand. I don't know. It just gets real unidimensional. Godskin Duo is a bad fight, as it's a fight that puts 2 bosses that weren't designed for a duo in the same arena. O and S is a perfect example. Big guy, slow. Small guy, fast. That's how I feel about the Baldur fight in the opening of God of War. Everyone loves it, and it's a spectacle, but it's all staged. Doesn't really do it for me. Yeah, that's one that you don't want to replay, but it's fun the first time. I don't play the game, just playing devil's advocate. Yeah, I knew. That's just... my experience with the Rykard fight is that it's like I have to put everything down that I've been working on, all of my instincts with dodging or using guard counter or using my Ash of War. None of that matters. All that matters is the gimmick. The final fights in all FromSoftware games are stupid. Are they notoriously disappointing? Eugene says Godskin Duo is fine. I wish I would have gotten that far, Eugene. I do regret ending the no summon run because I wanted to try Melania and I wanted to try the Godskin Duo. I did. I do. Instead, they made the fat Godskin just as fast, if not faster, than the skinny Godskin guy. It's not good. I enjoyed it. What I didn't enjoy was fighting them multiple times before that fight. The real boss is the Soldier of Godric. That's right. That's true. Did you try the Timesia demo? I tried the Timesia demo. Now, I've heard they've made combat better. I thought the combat was really bad. It was super... It felt real loose, like there was something about it, like parrying was really inconsistent. That's at least how I felt. Both final bosses in Sekiro were good. Yeah, Ishin, the final boss in Sekiro is... I don't know. I think that's everything done. It's everything done right. I'll be honest with you, I want to replay Sekiro. I do. I want to replay Sekiro real bad because I feel like... I don't know... I feel like I would enjoy it a little bit more, you know? I feel like I would enjoy it a little bit more. I would try to play it a little bit differently because there were some bosses I ran away from a lot and didn't parry. And like the monkey and the drunkard and somebody else. There's a couple of guys I ran away from a bunch and it's like, no, I want to go toe-to-toe with you. We might do that for members only. I don't know. Are we complaining about being... too good at the game? What's the percentage of people that actually beat Elden Ring? I don't think people are complaining about being too good, MJ. I think the issue is rolling over into another playthrough or doing a second or extra playthrough is not landing on people. Watching God run 3 attempts and the Sekiro runs are by far the most entertaining. Let's start right now. Lono play Sekiro. From Lono versus Demon of Hatred will be must-see TV. Golly. Flawless on both 8 fights my second time. So satisfying because my first run it killed me for like 5 hours. I actually feel like I moved through Sekiro very quickly. I think I did. I think even though I got really annoyed at the end and kind of got complainy and I was like, we should have played Demon Souls. Because like, I don't know. I was really annoyed. Ishin was breaking me. Ishin was 100% breaking my spirit. And I'm glad I stuck with it and beat it. Yeah. But after I beat Ishin, it was so weird. Ishin felt like if you've ever worn glasses, the first time you put the glasses on, you're like, everything looks right now. When I beat Ishin, that's what it felt like. It was like, this whole game makes sense now. Everything about this game now makes sense. I've transcended to understanding, and I don't hate it anymore. Does that make sense? He breaks you down to the point where you're ready to quit, and then you beat him, and you're like, I get it. I now understand this. I understand this game. It's not what I thought it was. If you're going to replay something, it should be Dark Souls 3 in my opinion. You miss most of the best bosses in that game. I still don't understand why replaying Elden Ring is an issue. Not every game needs to be infinitely replayable. Suede, I think it's because up to now, the other games have felt more replayable, but potentially, right? I loved how Genichiro went from being your rival to being nothing more than not even a step, just a pebble on the path. Ishin tests every single thing they've taught you. It's amazing. Yeah. No boss will ever top Orphan of Kos in difficulty. It's perfect difficulty, unlike Melania, who is BS difficulty and a terrible boss. Perfect sense. I don't know if you remember, but I kept telling you there's a moment where it clicks for everyone, and the entire gameplay feels like it shifts once you get it. Yeah. Yeah. It was... And rewatching me play him, like I said, I was impressed by my gameplay because I was playing better than I remembered. I land some amazingly well-timed parries when he shifts to his second and third phase, and I'm sitting there watching this thinking, I can't believe I did that after 5 hours. I couldn't freaking believe it. Just pure grit and determination. You know, and you watch it out of context, and I'm like heavy breathing and like crazy into it. But like, if you don't watch all 5 hours, that doesn't make any sense. You're like, what the frick's wrong with this guy? Why is he taking it so serious? You know, and it's like, well, it's because I just sat here for, you know, a part-time shift at work, you know, and beat it. That's how long it took me to beat this boss. Elden Ring's more replayable than Dark Souls 3 in my opinion, says Conj. I beat only Dark Souls 3 times and Elden Ring 8 times. The dude that used to post no heal Ishin runs every day with different builds was amazing. Man, that's crazy. No heal Ishin runs. Jiminy freaking Christmas. I wonder, I would want to see the failed runs to be like, where did it typically fall apart for him? It's got to be second phase. It's got to be. Because third phase for a really practiced player that's going to commit to doing no heal runs, third phase has got to be the dunk. They just you just dunk on him. Probably knows how to bait lightning and everything else. Where's that video of you beating him? It's on this channel in a From Friday playlist. It's the final, it's like part 11 or whatever. Most people I see criticizing the game have optimal build and start calling the game easy. I don't understand this train of thought. I like clapping boss cheeks in New Game Plus. That's nuts. Ishin's no walk in the park. No, he's not. For me, Ishin's harder than Orphan of Kos as the hardest From boss in history. I just beat Orphan of Kos last week again last week. And fun fact, he animation cancels out of stagger just like Melania. Yeah, Melania is a freaking cheater. She 100% is a cheater. Margit does a couple of things. If you're not paying attention, he did it a couple of times to me. I swear he was animation canceling. I swear Margit was. It was really weird, and because I remember calling it out, I was like, he just animation canceled. I swear he does. Not to the degree that Melania does, but totally does. Yeah, here it is. We could watch it. You guys want to watch it? Want to watch me beat Ishin after 5 hours? I get too into it afterwards. That was like it was too personal. Ishin may be the most difficult boss I've ever played. I want another From action adventure. No power ceiling, just get good. Properties. Gotta switch to the microphone. Do you think we'll get Elden Ring DLC? I know for a fact we're getting Elden Ring DLC. There's no question. I look so happy at the beginning. Look at me. Hang on, let me go to the other side here. Let me go over here. Look at me. Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. This is going to be part 11 in my Sekiro gameplay. We are. You hear my voice? Do you hear it? I'm in a pretty good mood. At the final boss of the game, we are skipping some of the side bosses and side things because we wanted to make sure we had ample time to finish this game before Elden Ring comes out. Do it. Whatever, bro. It's so cheesy. This fight is cheesy as frick. I'm so angry. Your chair changed from the beginning to the end. Yeah, my hair changed. I think second phase is my favorite. Yeah, because you get to use all those mickeries. You get to bait those mickeries, baby. Woo! Those frickin' mickeries, baby. They're so satisfying.
Oh, you gotta be freaking kidding me.
Yes. I just loved running from that. You don't get greedy. See, I got greedy. Totally got greedy. I know I have him here. I know I have him here. Yeah.
I jacked that up. Yeah, try to get your free damage, you jerk.
Woo! Here it comes. Ah, see, he always got me with that one. Go! That's the one. That's the one. That big one right there. I can't believe I was getting... Yes, I've got that. See, I got it. That stupid big swing and the mickery. I freaking loved... I can't believe I started playing this well. Frick this guy, bro. So many of those swings, I always misfired on them. Get in there for the mickery. Oh, it's so magnetic. I missed that one. Very disappointing, but then you get another mickery. No, it's a jump.
Stupid.
I died. Oh, that's right. I get to come back. Yeah, I had to run away.
I'm blocked.
I'm way out of sync now. I'm way out of sync with the fight. Way out of sync with the fight.
Such bullshit.
Way out of sync with the fight. I thought that was the one.
I hate that. Give me the jump.
Oh, I'm not letting him move. You can tell I'm definitely playing angry here. Yeah, I'm playing angry. Jiminy Christmas, I'm playing sloppy. See, I'm playing mad, and I can see all the dumb stuff I'm doing. I just want to get in there and be on top of him. Greedy. So greedy. Here it comes. Jiminy! Holy crap. I'm in the zone now, baby. Yes, I'm in the zone! Oh, I'm in it. I'm in the zone at this point. You're done, sucker. Ooh! Oh, I missed him there. That is so disappointing. That is so disappointing. Yes! Oh, he almost got me there. Woo! He almost got me there. Oh, I was so nervous. Yes! I was so nervous. Homies, when he freaking blocked, I thought, are you gonna pull some kind of nonsense? So epic. See ya, sucker. I'm like breathing all heavy. Woo! Such. The sigh. Oh my god, a breath. Yes. I can like barely talk. Oh my gosh, dude. That. I'm telling you. That fight is crazy. It's so good, but it also it takes you all the way to the red zone. You're just like, I hate this fight. This fight's so cheap, you know. And the fact that I missed the lightning, that could have been the end. You know what I mean? It could have been the end, dude. It was so, to me, it was so analogous. It was analogous, you know, so much that had happened, you know, to go that far and to have to barely, not, I shouldn't say barely beat him. But, and that to me, I don't think I ever had that feeling in Elden Ring. Even going back and playing my second Elden Ring gameplay, my favorite fight was Margot and beating Margot, no summons, but it didn't feel like that. Even when I beat Owl without any shinobi arts and just went full sword the whole time, even that fight felt better. I don't know. There's something about there's something about the combat in Sekiro that just, it does something. It just feels more visceral. It feels more. Wow, we lost a ton of people by doing that. Holy moly! I guess people did not like me doing that. Did YouTube have a blip or something, or did that literally, was that just because we started watching Sekiro? We literally were in like the 320s. Did you guys have to refresh or something? I wasn't paying attention to chat. If YouTube blipped, that's fine. But if not, I guess we learned our lesson. Nah, they just bailed? Okay. That's interesting. Sekiro must be divisive as a From game. I quit Sekiro for like 2 months because I was stuck on Father Owl. I came back and beat him first try. It was weird. Okay. Who's my favorite boss in Elden Ring? That's a really good question. Probably Horaloo. I thought Horaloo was awesome. I know some people didn't like that fight, but I thought that fight was really satisfying. I think he just needs more health. The fight should last a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Sekiro doesn't look fun to me. I also just don't like the style of it. Yeah, I was surprised on how dark it was. You know what I mean? I was surprised on how dark it was. I felt like I was like, wow, I can't see anything. Now, I have my monitor brightness turned down, so that might have been why. That might have been why, actually. I always forget that I turned the bottom brightness down. So Sekiro did not let you go and level and come back. You had to get good. The fact that you can out-level all the blessed, even if you don't, undercuts the sense of accomplishment. It seemed much faster than the other titles. Yeah. I like the Rykard fight. It's gimmicky but unique. I missed the secret area in Sekiro because I did not eavesdrop on Emma and the Sculptor. Oh. Sekiro does not have much diversity when it comes to combat versus Elden Ring. There are pluses and minuses. There are pluses and minuses, right? Like, Elden Ring has insane variety. Like, there's so many different ways you can build your character, and that's actually genuinely awesome. It is. It's super, super dope. But it also means that you can overlevel. It also means that you can sort of invalidate fights with a really strong weapon and a really strong summon and just kind of skate. You know what I mean? Those two games are too different. I didn't like the fact that you couldn't level and the linear aspect of Sekiro. Elden Ring was a masterpiece in my opinion. I think they're both masterpieces at what they set out to do, MJ. You know? The darkness isn't the problem. I tried Ghost of Tsushima and didn't vibe with it also. Maybe I just don't like old Japanese samurai shinobi style. That's possible, as I love Ghost of Tsushima. I want to play through Ghost of Tsushima with the black and white filter on, lethal, and beat the whole game that way. I would love that. We're thinking that might have to be a members only thing though. Sekiro's awesome. I hope they make a sequel. The fights also aren't as good because they have to account for a variety of builds and levels. Right. Sekiro's finely tuned and it shows. Between Sekiro and GOS, which did you enjoy more? Between Sekiro and Ghost of Tsushima. I like Ghost of Tsushima significantly more. Like, Ghost of Tsushima's story and what he went through, and even some of the meditations and the one haiku, it was like a spiritual experience for me. Sekiro was as well, but Sekiro was more like boot camp. It was more analogous to going through a terrible fire and coming out on the other end like hardened by it. But like Ghost of Tsushima like kind of like spoke to me the whole time. It was like therapeutic. It just felt good to be in that game. It felt good to play it. When I finally fought at the end, you know, you finally fight your uncle or whatever, I just thought it was beautiful. I just thought it was just an absolute masterpiece. It was just pure. There was something so artistic about it. I don't know. I'm already this late on Elden Ring. I'm waiting for a sale. Yeah, you might wait for a while. They don't do sales all that often. I'm a FromSoftware guy, and I still like Ghost of Tsushima better as a game. It just, for me, like, certain games, the experience of the game and the message and the world and everything, like, I'll never forget in Ori and the Will of the Wisps when we fought the spider. I'll never forget that moment. The music and the words that she says to you, like, I don't know if I showed it on stream, but like, I got like emotional. I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is a beautiful game. And same with like Hellblade and same with Tsushima. Sekiro basically took chunks out of me, and then I felt better afterward. Like, it was really painful. It was like really, really painful physical therapy, and then I was really glad that I went through it. The whole time I was like, I hate this, and I hate you, and it's just so frustrating, and then I came out on the other end, and I was so glad that I had done it. I never played Ghost of Tsushima because I was told it was a Ubisoft-type game, and I can't stand those games. Am I missing out? Anybody who said it's a Ubisoft-type game, I'm not sure what they mean, because plenty of the Assassin's Creed games are well worth playing, even though they have the Ubi DNA in them. Assassin's Creed Origins is a great example, I think, of a UB DNA'd game that's worth playing. Great story, great combat, great systems. Ghost of Tsushima is a lot like Origins, but in all of the good ways. My personal opinion is that Souls games are so dated, but games like Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Jedi Fallen Order do combat way more satisfying. Jade Raymond's Haven studio is already inspiring other PlayStation studios and not just with its game. The deal has officially closed. With who? What? Were we in doubt about a deal? Talking about Assassin's Creed, she's the OG. Most Sekiro fights are very personal. It's always you and the boss. Each fight felt visceral and finely tuned. The dodge, the counter, the art, it felt very rhythmic. Today, as the deal is finally confirmed, we've caught up with Haven again, and a lot has changed. The developer now has 106 employees, a rise from 50. Certainly no small indie team anymore. And what's more is its key engineering hires significantly increase the investment. We've already mentioned that we built the studio. I'm not sure who Haven is. YouTube's barking at me to run ads, so I have to go to the bathroom. I'm gonna hit some ads, use the restroom. I'll be right back. Derek says games that can move you to tears: Limbo, Kena, Last of Us, original Metroid. That's good. I'm gonna hit some ads. We don't like to run ads all that often, so I've kind of said anytime that pops up, I'll ask for gifted members instead, because I think that's a better way to grow a live stream. But I genuinely need to take a break. So I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We got more to discuss, more to talk about, more vids to watch, and more gaming news to cover. Okay.
Oh, we need to absolutely... We do not need that command anymore. Okay. Actually. Yeah. Yeah, we'll delete that one too. Delete that one too. Just getting rid of old commands that we don't need. Got him. Replace that one day this week. Yeah. We'll have some cool stuff coming with merch sometime this week. Let me set up the next stream. I did not think that going and watching Sekiro would take the wind out of the sails like that, but boy oh boy it did. So we gotta move on. We've been going for 2 hours, which is generally that's how long we can go on given subjects these days anyway. Okay. Most subjects that's just the natural gas tank size, you know what I mean? That's just the normal gas tank size. We've been noticing that. New World Gaming News. I don't know if we even have... Yeah, we do have a New World News playlist. We haven't covered this in a while, but I thought it was worth dipping our toe back in. Especially since Asmongold took a look at the vid. I thought, I'm interested to see what he has to say. I actually think in this video he has a couple good ideas, and then he has one that I don't see any feasible way of it working. But he thinks I should do something with the servers. Did you play the Timesia demo? I answered you a little bit ago. You must have missed my answer. I said that I did, and that I did not feel like the combat worked well, but I had heard that they had done some patches. During a reaction of a reaction? Yeah, because like I could have watched the video with you guys, and I just thought that was like, but like watching their update with his thoughts about their update, I thought would be more interesting. What's going on with Reforge Radio? We have no idea. At the current moment, we know we're going to use the channel, but we don't really know for what. So, okay. Ever played Hollow Knight? Yes, I have. No, that's fine, creature. That's fine. All right, let me get this. I loved Hollow Knight. Can't wait for Silk Song. So what does it mean as of right now? Nothing going to be on Reforge Raider until you figure it out? Yes. Yes. it's super hard to get information to you guys, but I feel like we've gone through this 4 different times now, and you guys must have just missed it. There were 2 different members-only streams on this channel that we went through it. I'm continually frustrated by YouTube's lack of putting members-only content in your lap. Like, there's only so much I can do, but I feel like I've done a really good job. I post the blog, a community post. I tweet it, I put it in the Discord. So if you missed those 2 member streams where I went through this, it gets to a certain point where you have to do a little bit of due diligence and go to that playlist and watch that content. If you're too busy, I get it. But I feel like we did a really good job outlining what we were doing and why. And if you missed that, maybe we just need another place to put stuff as well. Maybe I should do a community post, like type it up. And then when people come in with questions, we could be like, oh, it's all explained right here. That's been our one frustration. Is it's super hard to update people on what's going on because, like, members-only stuff just doesn't get good engagement. Like, it's super frustrating. It's like we had 1,700 members at the end of June, and the members-only content got, like, really, like, not impressive engagement. And it's like, did those 1,700 people feel like, hey, this guy wasn't really creating members-only content? Did they not see it? Did they? You just don't know. The first thing that should hit you in your face when you come to the platform, if you're a member, is my members-only content. But that's not what YouTube wants. Sadly, I am actually concerned about this. Long-term, is the goals of someone like me, a live streamer who wants a really big member base, is that essentially at odds with what YouTube wants? Because YouTube makes way more money on videos that are monetized, that they can shove in your face, that are trending, that they feel like you're going to enjoy more. So they have a vested interest in not showing you my members-only content. So it's like, well, what in the frick am I supposed to do then if I'm making members-only content and members want it, but they're not putting it in front of you when you come to the platform? I just don't know. It's like, I don't know what else to do. When I have close to 2,000 members and a members-only video gets like 500 views, I'm like, that's a lot of people that didn't watch that video. And did they not watch it for lack of interest? Did they not watch it because they didn't see it? Did they not watch it for, any number of reasons? It's just really, really hard to know. I don't know what my expectation should be for members-only content engagement, but I find it to be worrying. It's like we're breaking our back here doing a ton of members-only content, and my thought process was this. If each video gets anywhere from, 300 to 400 views, and we do one each day, the idea would be by the end of the week, every single member saw something at least once, right? That's my thought on it now, is like we've got to do something to really get the audience accustomed to being like, there's regular members only content here, here's how I find it, here's how I engage with it. I personally only engage with notification content because, unlike Purple, I don't really use the homepage for YouTube, so maybe that's part of the problem. I like your idea of leading info, command leading to the info. They get a cut of the membership fees, right? They should be invested. Yeah, but the worry there is, Zubair, they get 30% of the members' fees. Once they have your member money for the month, they don't make money on all those videos I'm creating that are members only. So that's my concern, is it's like our goals as a business at some level are actually at odds with how YouTube functions. And I'm like, until they create a funnel that sensibly gets people into live content or into members only content, I feel like I absolutely feel like we're climbing up a steep hill. It's like YouTube does not seem built for what we're trying to do. It's like Gifted Members was great and it mushroomed really big. Hopefully July can continue to see results from that. But it's an algorithmically driven website, and members only content doesn't hit the algorithm. So there's like this, I don't know, there's just this weird divide. I don't feel like I should grow my members to almost 2,000 and struggle to get those videos seen. That just shouldn't be a thing. It's like we tripled our member base, and it just doesn't seem like I have a good way of getting those videos in front of people. I don't know what's their best practice. What are they noticing on channels that get good results? I don't know. I was talking with my friend last night. And he was like, a lot of guys are moving off YouTube for that reason. He's like, because they can't grow. They don't feel like they can grow their member base. I'm like, where the frick are they going? He's like, Patreon. I was like, I don't want to do that. And we don't even know if Patreon's going to be around, 5 or 10 years from now. It's been suggested that their front-end UI changes are going to reflect multiple experiences, normal live gaming and booked, subscribe and member. Man, I really hope that they get into a lane where that starts to help us out. Because it's like, right now, I feel like we don't have a home here. I feel like we're sort of not fitting. We're the square peg on the round hole. It's like, we don't slide in here anywhere. If they would do that, if they would have that UI set up that way, we could slide in and we would fit. Right now, I feel like we're constantly trying to do something that the platform just isn't built for. It's like, there's nowhere for you. We have good results, we have good channel growth, we meet new people, but it's like, you got to think 2 or 3 years from now, we need them to change some of this so like what we're doing can start to fit, if that makes sense. It's just a member structure you get to watch later. They really need to revamp their live gaming directory. They're bagging some of the biggest purple streamers, so it's like, you gotta think they've got something in the pipeline. But I feel like we've been saying that for 2 years. It's like, if I'm saying this again in 2023, I'm gonna be like, I don't know if they care. I think they're just throwing money at it. You know what I mean? So I hope that the rest of this year, some of this stuff we've heard whispers about actually happens. Because we heard whispers about gifted members, and then they finally showed up. And then we heard about, like, the YouTube Premium becoming like the Amazon Prime thing. And I'm like, okay, like, these whispers turn into reality, we could be in a great spot. Just hoping they change to suit you, not naive, like, plan for it, but don't build on that assumption. Well, we don't have another choice. Like, we don't really have another choice. There's not another road. There's not another path. We're not building on assumptions. We're hearing these things from on the ground from VidCon. Yeah, like, we're hearing from reliable sources, and we're not necessarily building around, like, hopefully they do this stuff, but it's like, they seem to be invested in live streams, okay? They seem to be invested in live streams. So, I want to see that investment meted out in site design changes, discoverability changes. I feel like they've already made background changes for discoverability. I feel like we get found and we get discovered more than we used to. And that's because of changes they made in the algorithm. I feel like live streams are we're in a much better funnel of discoverability than we used to be. The next thing I need is, like, I need Empowered to grow and foster that community. Because I need to be able to boot up and just know that folks are going to be there. And if I do something members, folks are going to see it. Like, that empowers me to be creative and visionary and to do stuff. But until that happens, I feel like we're just treading on the water and the waves of relevancy. It's like, we have to kind of ride something that happens and then it settles. And then ride something that happens and it settles. Like, we can't do that day in, day out, week in, week out grind where I'm like, creating value, being creative, delivering something great to a community and fostering that community. That's what I do. That's how my brain operates. And it's like, I'm trying to do that, and I had 1,700 members and I didn't feel like they saw a lot of the content. And I think that's a significant flaw. And that's not my fault. You can't fault me. It's like, what was I supposed to do? I did all the things that you're supposed to do, right? But, like, as an example, before we left, right? Like, community game night. We pumped up community game night for months. And it happened near the end of June when we had a very big community. It didn't even hit 600 views. So we had 1,500 to 1,600 members, and like a third of the member base watched it. Now, is that good numbers according to YouTube stats? I don't know. That might be really impressive. To me, it's not impressive. If I've got 1,700 members,
I want over a grand of those people finding that video and watching it and be like, yeah, that was pretty cool. Community game night. That was pretty dope. They only need to watch like a minute for it to count. And so that's like, to me, it's like, well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Where is everybody? We did the update before I left on June 28th. It got seen by 726 people. That's not bad. That's closer to what I want to see. They're fully aware that they are fully aware that they are in the catbird seat, so that means they can move slowly. By no means are they celebrating. They're getting ready for a mass push. Just making sure it's clear we're not hanging out of the passenger side window like a happy dog. We're tuned in and planning around what we can expect. That's pretty good though, right? I see channels with millions of subs with only a fraction of views on their vids. Half the members showing up sounds pretty good to me. Yeah, my expectations could be out of line, Robert. I don't know. Like, in my mind, 1,700 people seeing a video that's just for them, and then them being like, I'm not clicking on that. I'm not even going to watch for a minute. To me, that's just bizarre. Like, I got to think that if I was opening up my YouTube app and was actively paying someone for membership, or I had a membership gifted to me, and I saw a video just for me, and I didn't even click on it, I just don't know. That to me, and this is me, this is my perspective, so other people are different, right? I'm like, I would click on that. I'd be like, oh, what happened? What's going on? The members only stuff does seem a bit backwards. They don't push it or have a dedicated section for members like subs. It just seems backwards. Well, no, there should be we have a members only playlist where everything is. And then when you click on membership, when you click on membership, it just shows the members' posts. It doesn't actually show the videos. But I always post when I do a video. So it's one of those things where, we do those posts. What did the ketchup one yield? Yeah, the ketchup one didn't even clear 600 views, but I don't know where we were at that point in time. June 18th. Eugene says, the VODs do nothing for me. The value is the live portion. Once it's happened, I don't care. Well, and that was some of our thought process, Eugene, behind us saying, hey, let's do something live every day, even if it's only like 30 or 40 minutes. So that we're getting that hit, right? Do members only videos have ads? Well, we could put ads on them, but that feels dumb to me. I'm not going to make any money off the ads on a video that gets watched by 700 to 800 people. I figured that was kind of scummy to be like, hey, thanks for being a member. Here's your members only video. And then you get hit in the face with an ad. Like, what? No. That doesn't make any sense to me. And even if we threw ads on them, it wouldn't make YouTube treat them better. They don't hit the algorithm, so YouTube doesn't give them preferential treatment, like, at all. But I bet YouTube doesn't see it that way. No. If we put ads on them, we could experiment and see. If there were ads on them, did they get shoved to more members, and did more members watch the VOD? I doubt it. It's because it doesn't hit the algorithm. It's not a discoverable video, so YouTube doesn't do anything with it. It just friggin' sits there. Which, I get that. I totally get that. I almost never get a notification from the YouTube when there's a members only thing. I'll get random notifications from people I've never watched, though. If you're a member, you should at least be getting an email when I do the members only post. I didn't turn on noties for Gothics, and I get her notification. I get an email every time she does something members only. Personally, I see all the content, but sometimes I can't stream, and I rarely go back and watch the VODs. Paying is more about supporting what you do. I'm okay if I can't consume 100% of the content. Right. To me, Suede, people like you are not my concern, because you're paying because you like the content, you're supporting me, you'll watch when you can, right? You're in that lane of like, this guy's going to support me as long as I'm going live, and I love people like that. My concern is the percentage of people that either get gifted a member or decide to try out membership. I just want to make sure they're not missing it. They're not like this guy promised me a bunch of members-only content, and I'm not seeing anything. That's my biggest concern, is what percentage of that 1,700 was like, I didn't see anything. I bet there's a ton of Swades. That's possible, Robert. That could be a huge portion of the people that just don't watch the VODs. Or, I couldn't make it live, so I didn't watch, right? Friday nights are tough for people. I get that. I'm not upset at the numbers. There's that concern. Are we doing something that's antithetical to YouTube's system? YouTube's system is algorithmic discoverability, spin a video up, it's got ads, boom, it gets pushed by YouTube. Is a members only video just completely at odds with that? And is there maybe there's more creative ways for us to serve up members only content? I don't know. I think noties are weighted on how much you watch a channel's content, but members only content should be pushed regardless. Seems like a lot of us are freeloaders. Yeah, I mean, there's different ways to look at it, Dalton. There are people that get to a certain size and they just put everything behind a paywall. They're like, you want my content? I'm putting too much work into this. You got to pay for it. I don't think we would ever get to that point. But people that do coaching and lessons and classes and really heavily curated content, they just start to put all that behind a paywall because they created all that value and all that demand, and then they just start shoving it behind a paywall. My friend was telling me, he's like, the guys I used to watch, he's like, they shoved everything on Patreon. He's like, I can't even watch their content anymore. He's like, it's all behind a paywall now. And I don't want to do that. I don't think that's a good format at all. We're not even remotely of a size where you could consider doing something like that. That's service streams. They're in the service industry. Right. Peterson blueballed me the other day with half a podcast. I'm confused about the folks who don't see your stuff. I've never had that issue. PC mobile doesn't matter. You're in my feed, subs, notifications, even in the shorts. I must be lucky. Maybe you don't subscribe to a lot of people. I think a lot of it's people that just subscribe to lots of channels. I gifted last month because of the Goodwill Hunting answer, because frick 'em, that's why. I hope the gifted turns into repeats, but I will still be here trying to help. I appreciate that, YouTube lurker. I don't want our community growth purely dependent upon generous gifters, right? I never see the member sub. I have to go digging for it. Yeah, and Zubair's here all the time, and I happen to I'm going to assume he doesn't subscribe to 1,000 channels and consume tons of content. He doesn't seem like that type of user. But we're thinking one of the three prongs is people gifting members. People gifting members, people jumping back in, and regular members are the three prongs. And what we want to put on top of that is a ton of content. So anybody who does a membership, gifts a membership, or gets a membership is like, yo, I'm getting something every day. Right? I'm getting something every day. That's our goal and our aim. Didn't know attendance was for a grade. It's not. I was gifted a sub last month. Could only make it to one members only video. On top of not seeing notifications, the videos sometimes were at bad times for me. It feels like I'm getting scolded. No, Dalton. No, I specifically said just moments ago, my biggest concern is if people don't see it, are they going to get mad and be like, this guy promised a bunch of members only content and I never saw any of it. If you're not watching it of your own choice, if you're not watching it because you just can't, that doesn't bother me at all. As long as you see it. If you see it and you voluntarily are like, I wasn't there live, I don't care to watch, or you get the ping and you're like, oh, I'm a little busy tonight, or Friday nights are tough for me, I can't watch, that doesn't bother me at all. But I don't want somebody being like, man, I was a member and I never saw any of the content. I didn't see any of the videos. My concern is people not seeing it, not people opting out on watching. Like that's your own free choice. You could pick the highest tier membership level I have and never watch a members only video. Like that doesn't matter to me. He doesn't need our views for the member stuff. He wants to make sure it's getting to members. That's exactly right. Like The beauty of members-only content is I don't have to worry about viewership at all. I can experiment. I can try new segments. We can do gameplay. We can goof off. We can do whatever the heck we want. But I don't want anybody feeling like, man, I was a member on that guy's channel and I never saw anything. It's like, I just hope, again, the crux of what I'm saying is, are we doing something that is at odds with YouTube's design at the moment? YouTube's design at the moment doesn't seem to favor members-only content because it's a super small piece of my sub base. 1,600 subscribers and I got 1,000 members. Well, YouTube does the math and is like, what are we going to do that? What are we going to do with that? You're going to be streaming The Last of Us if you play it? Just asking. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm not upset at all, Dalton. I'm not like, oh man, people aren't watching the content. What a bunch of jerks. No. I'm probably subscribed to too many channels, says Suede. I've got to be maddening. It's got to be maddening being in your shoes. YouTube streaming seems like the epitome of moving targets. Yeah. My main call is, and this isn't me complaining or freaking out. I just want people to know, hey, I'm like yelling like, hey, we're doing tons of members-only content. Make sure you're checking the tab. Make sure you're checking your email. Make sure you're in the Discord, right? Make sure. I don't want anybody getting a gifted or deciding to do a membership on their own and being like, man, I don't know what that guy was talking about, but I didn't see any of those videos. Lono Creature have limited bandwidth. If the members-only streams are just pissing away time and energy on something that isn't landing, then it's worth finding out sooner than later. Right. I wish I could see at the end of a week, Valiant, how many of my members watched at least one members-only video. That's what I want to see. Because if it's that same little core, there's good things about that. If it's really widespread and at least, let's say 80% of the member base watched at least one video, then that's a really good thing. They got pinged, they got hit, they got to take part. Like, okay, we hit them at least once that week. That's our thought process on like ending every day with the members, is we're increasing the likelihood of member number 724 actually got to see a piece of members only content. And then they end that week thinking, oh, that was pretty good. I can't watch it all, but I got to watch something. I guess the only good way to know right now is user feedback, and that's anecdotes. And that's why every once in a while I just kind of bring it up. It's like, well, we got a moment here. Let me kind of feel out the membership. Let me see what they think. How are they interacting with it? How are they finding it? Is it frustrating? Is it good? Whatever. $20 tip from JW. I feel like I'm a member to show my support for the times I can't watch. With work being so crazy, I can't watch as much as I'd like. Even if I go a week without watching, I'm still supporting thoughts. Yeah, that if you can't watch, that's not something that we can be concerned with, because there's nothing I can do about somebody's job changing or their schedule changing. If you're maintaining membership, buying coffee, tipping, you're going over and above. You're going over and above. I don't see how else you could promote the members only content. You mentioned it multiple times. YouTube, Discord, Noties. It's more on the individual members at that point. Oh, for sure, Abe. And there's a fine balance, right? You don't want to derail a good show by being like, hey guys, don't forget about members. Don't forget to become a member. Like, I try to mention it, but then I also try to be like, I don't want to disrupt the show. You know what I mean? I don't want to disrupt the show to be like, give me money. You know what I mean? I'm similar to Eugene. I'm here for the live content. If I miss a stream, I never go back and watch the VOD. That's not entirely true. I actually used to watch the current event VODs when you got on the juicier subjects. Oh, well, yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. That's a little bit more intrigue driving. Like, ooh, I wonder what he said about that. Give me 1 second. For me, it's the timing. I get off work right about the time that the member stream goes live. And that's game time, but I try to watch. Yeah, listen. If you can't watch members-only content, that's not a bother to me. I'm not upset at people not watching. I'm curious And there's a slight concern that YouTube's just not structured in a way with what we're doing, right? YouTube's engine, what makes YouTube just a force of nature, is its algorithm, the discoverability. It's why we've been able to do what we do. It's why we've been able to grow, because we've got good content, we've got a great community. We pick the right subject and we time it right. Boy, we get spun up and we meet a ton of people. All that's great. That force of nature, it seems to me like it's like a cyclone, and members-only content tries to get into the cyclone and just gets kind of spit out. It's like ding, ding, it just bounces off because that cyclone isn't interested in paywalled content. And so YouTube needs to almost build another cyclone that's maybe a little bit smaller that says, hey man, anybody that's paying money, they should be seeing everything this guy does. They should be seeing everything he creates. Zero question. I don't care how little they've watched. If they open up YouTube and they're a member on a channel, they should be seeing the latest members-only content. So they know I'm still getting value if and when I've got time to watch. Does that make sense? Like, you could go a month and never watch a piece of members-only content. That doesn't mean that YouTube shouldn't put it in front of you. If you're actively paying for it, you should open up YouTube, and there it is. You're like, yep, still a member, still getting content from Lono. Like, I get the emails from Gothix. I've not watched any of her members-only content because it's at a time and it's in a format that doesn't interest me, but I always get that email. It's like a soft reminder, hey, you're still a member over there, so if suddenly I'm interested in what she's talking about, or suddenly I've decided, like, hey, I've got some time to see what she has to say about this, you know, members-only content should not be weighted on how much you watch. Yeah. I usually listen to past streams or missed streams during my evenings while I do work or game. Haven't actually engaged with member stuff as of yet. Okay, that's fine. Like, if it's totally up to you, if you're seeing it and not clicking, that doesn't bother me at all. I just want to make sure people see it. If you're opting out, that's your choice. But I want to make sure you're being given that choice. You as the consumer, you as the person spending money, you should be getting that. Did the 11:15 stream get canceled? What do you think? As a long-standing member and connoisseur of my content, Christina, what do you think the odds are that I just randomly canceled a stream? We're just going late. I rarely see anything from you on my YouTube. Every morning I have to go to my subs and then select Reforge. Yeah, I don't know why that happens, Troy, for people that watch every day. That's a weird one to me. That's a weird one. Like, I don't know if you need to, like, unsub, resub, and click the bell. Sometimes you have to, like, jar its memory to, like, hey, I want this guy's content. I've had people say they watch every day and they're like, I don't see you. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? I don't know what to tell you. That's a weird one. Unless, the only thing I could think, Troy, is if you stop watching me, let's say you stop watching me for the day, and you go and you watch a bunch of content about, you know, baking and grilling, okay? You spend the rest of your day watching that content. You might be confusing YouTube. And then you come up the next day and they're not feeding you me, they're not feeding you gaming content. They're like, well, your most recent viewing history is baking and grilling. So here's your baking and grilling videos, or here's these other people that you're sub to. It's possible if you're really varied in your viewership. That's the only thing I think might be happening with Creature, because Creature consumes some of, like, the, hey, here's how to be successful on YouTube, or hey, here's how to do this on YouTube. And sometimes I just wonder if that's why, like, you're so algorithmically unpredictable because you watch too much stuff that it's like, well, we don't know who to put in front of you.
I'm also using their list feature. I have all the Reforge channels in a Reforge list, so they feel like they don't need to recommend them to me. Yeah, that could be it too. I get every notification for the streams until it's the member streams. YouTube has to be putting those streams in the notifications like every other. It's supposed to. 16 months and it's a tier 3. Yo, Freddy, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Freddy. Appreciate you hitting that milestone. Yeah, that's a weird one to me, Sorcerer, because I literally do a thing. I do a community post, and you are 100% supposed to get the email. Like, you're just supposed to get pinged. Bing, this guy's doing something. It's not, there's not supposed to be a, like, it shouldn't be like a chance that it gets through. So that's always a weird one to me, that, you know, that active, engaged daily members are like, yeah, I didn't get notified that you did a member stream. I'm like, what? I've just had a moment of concern. What if YouTube are seeing the Twitch format of subs not making them much money and are not willing to go down that route? Yeah, I don't know, because to me, the thing with Purple was that the big streamers were loss leaders. That can't be true on YouTube for two pretty big reasons. Number one, the subs, the viewership on those videos is insane. So they're getting the members and they're getting the ad roll, and then they also get the ad roll on the VOD. So that's where I think they kick Purple right in the throat. Just, we're better at this than you. So in my mind, members are just a cherry on top. The reason that big streamers over there are a loss lead is it's way too expensive to service those big live streams. And Purple makes all their money on mid-lane streamers. Well, that's kind of what we are right now. So, I guess if a ton of people our size don't get enough members, and there's so many of them that it becomes a loss for YouTube, they might be like, yeah, members and members-only content really isn't good for us. YouTube has had contracts with people who wouldn't touch Purple with a 10-foot pole. Right. My content habits are all over the place, and I have no issues. My theory is YouTube does soft rollouts and experiments all the time. Yeah, we know that they do that. When do you think Elden Ring DLC should be out by? I was hoping for holiday. I was hoping for the holiday, personally. So, hang on. I gotta move myself to the other side for this next video. Ads are so bad over there. Got hit with two before a stream. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. I just think they're hemorrhaging. Losing Lily Pichu is just another big loss for that platform. They're going to keep losing their heavy hitters, and they're a top-heavy platform. Top-heavy platform loses its heavy hitters. It's like, well, then what do you got? You know? What do you got? I'm not worried. Like, we've had these conversations before, and it was like us freaking out about the algorithm and discoverability and subs aren't seeing us. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. That stuff always tends to fix itself. We had like a whole month where like our numbers plummeted, and it was clearly something that YouTube did, and then it just slowly fixed itself, right? I'm not worried about that, right? My main thing is I want to make sure what we're doing is being seen. If somebody is giving money to this channel, I want the paid for content hitting them. And if they say, I'm good, man, Lono's the man, I don't need to watch any of that content. If you're opting out, that's all that matters to me, is that you are being given the choice to opt out, especially on paid content. And I hope that YouTube isn't sort of like laying unhelpful groundwork on everything that we're building so that, 2 years from now, we're having the same conversation, Well,
we're hoping YouTube makes some changes to the UI and the live environment and blah, blah, blah. I happen to feel that we're not going to be saying that. I feel like it's just tortoise in the hare, man. They're going real slow. And it's just, as a streamer, you're just sitting there like, please just copy everything they're doing. It works so well, you know? I hate the recommended page. I watched one video about the ship Titanic, and then my entire page was filled with Titanic-related videos. That should be easy to fix, though, right? Just search for something else. It should take some pointers from Purple. Like how the paying subs get pushed to my feed prior to being discoverable. What I pay for should be first, and everything else should be second. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. All right, I got to send some tweets. We got to get this next stream going. This is going to come up every once in a while. It's not me freaking out. It's not me being negative. It's me being like, hey, please know that we're doing so much content for members. I don't want you missing it. New World, latest update. Asmongold reacts. Live. I actually don't agree with that. There should be a member tab area in the front end that you can't miss. I've seen some things that might potentially end up looking like that. I've seen some stuff, you know, that could end up looking like that. So that I'm hopeful, because that's what I'm thinking is like if somebody's paying that money and there's a tab and they click on it and there's everything I've done for members, I just think that communicates a ton of value. That's going to bolster what we're trying to do, right? I'm a pretty creative guy, like, you know, and I'm a hard worker and I'm a visionary. And it's like, man, if you put gas in a tank, man, I can drive the car really far. I can drive the car really far. I just need to know that you're putting gas in the tank. I need to know that all these ideas I'm drumming up and all this content I'm making, I need to know that it's getting seen. Okay. I believe in our format. I believe in our community. I believe in what Creature and I can accomplish. I need to feel that same belief with respect to YouTube and their goals and their plans. And hopefully these huge front-end changes deliver that. Because then we'll all be better for it. You know what I mean? Video game evidence to date suggests Lono cannot drive the car. All right, there we go. That's where we're heading. I'm going to do a redirect. We're going to be checking out what Asmongold thinks of the latest New World update. If you can hear my voice right now, he swears, I don't, so the safe for work thing kind of goes out the window when we watch his content. I thought this would be more interesting than us just watching the New World update, because Asmongold's kind of the MMO guy. I think his input and his ideas about the game are actually really important in the grand scheme of MMOs and what New World could become. Okay? The latest New World update is here. A pretty long stream from the New World devs, and I have not covered any of the latest New World updates as of late. Wanted to circle back and also check out what Asmongold has to say about it. He watched the video. He's a big proponent of reaction content. If you know people that are okay and cool with reaction content, we would love to start reacting to more people out there, especially if they have strong opinions or breakdowns of things. But I really, really like his flow and his style. He is not safe for work. My content is safe for work, so just a language warning at the beginning of this video. I don't have a problem with him swearing. I'm going to bring people over from the stream this morning.